This is Eric Connor from Nerdy Geek Talks. First of all, your nerdy geeky needs here with a new episode of Steel City Bots. Joining me today, we have Miguel. How are you?
I'm hungry. I didn't eat anything for dinner.
You're hungry. I had like 2 dinners. I should give you one. Anyways, we also have Michael. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
It's good to hear.
Thank
Good to
you.
hear.
Zeus, how are you?
I haven't eaten dinner either, and I probably will be soon.
That makes a little more sense for you.
Because it's only 6:15 for you now.
Yeah. You silly California person backwards in time. You're always so stuck in the
If I
past.
was backwards in time, then wouldn't it be like
Shh, don't overthink
9 in
it.
the morning for me?
I don't. Anyways, Aaron, how are you?
I am going absolutely insane from being inside, Eric. I've left my house for a max of an hour in the past 2 weeks. I'm losing it, man.
Have you tried sleeping?
That's all I do. I sleep all day and do stuff all night. Eric, I played Animal Crossing for 7 hours the other day without realizing. Animal Crossing is like time travel. You're like, oh, I'm gonna get some bugs to sell, and then 7 hours later, you're like, it's dark out.
I still don't understand the appeal of that game. Jared, how are you?
Doing good. It's been stuck at work. Better than stuck at home, I guess.
I was gonna say that's
But-
better than not having a job. Stupid virus. Anyways, yeah. So let's get started. What do we have first?
Ooh. We got the mascot up first.
Oh yeah! This week's mascot is Social Distancing Bisque. Being a good boy, like all of you should be. Don't be a Thermidor, be a Bisque.
Yeah,
Michael.
Thermidor's out and about, saying that there's nothing to worry about.
He's lighting,
and that people
he's lighting
shouldn't-
buildings on fire.
Shouldn't just listen to what they hear in mainstream media.
Yeah.
I'm just planning a trip to Hawaii right now.
Hey, man, now's the time. Everything's cheap.
Yeah.
Aaron and Thermidor's Hawaii vacation coming to you.
No,
soon.
I am staying home. I live with elderly people. I gotta stay home.
Well, or you could just stay in Hawaii. Alternative.
That's true. My stepmom has COVID-19.
Ooh.
So I was gonna visit Jersey, but as you can tell, that didn't happen, and thankfully so, because I probably would have gotten sick too.
Yeah, that would not be fun.
Yeah.
Michael,
Yes.
what is our history lesson?
Our history lesson for the day. Blah, blah, blah. We are recording this on March 25th, and on this day in history, D.C. Fontana, also known as Dorothy Catherine Fontana, was born. There wasn't a whole lot of good stuff today, even though there was a bunch of stuff. But she's notable for being an American television writer, best known for the original 10 episodes of the original Star Trek, as well as for other Star Treks and reboot. But notably for Transformers, she wrote the Beast Wars episode Crossing the Rubicon.
This is weird, given the fact that Eric and I were in a Twitter conversation that mentioned this episode.
Yeah, that tweet has been getting very
That's
mixed
Eric.
reactions. There's been just as many people liking it as there have been people commenting that I'm the
What is
stupid
this?
worst. My Beast Wars Megatron controversial opinion about
when
did you tweet
Megatron,
this?
Transmetal, and Transmetal 2 Megatron.
Right, so go check at Eric Crowbar on Twitter if you want to see an insane person talking about why.
I'm trying to
Transmetal
find this. I'm scrolling.
For the record, I'm
trans-
talking about the character designs of the
I see
different
it.
Beast Wars Megatron bodies, not really the toys. I still think I don't my ranking of the toys is different, but I'm talking character design, not toys.
But Eric, Transmetals gave Megatron roller skates.
I understand, but ridiculous doesn't mean good character design.
Eric, what do you know
I
about character design?
It's not like you were going to school
I was
for it
gonna
or
say
anything.
it's not like I spent years in design or anything. But That's why I like, I mean, obviously everyone's opinion's valid, and I don't feel like you can't have Transmetal Megatron as your favorite. That's fine, but I do love it whenever people are just like, "What do you know about design?" Just in general conversations, and I'm like, stuff. I went to school for it.
Stuff.
Like I do know stuff about design. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a design expert or anything, but it's like I did learn a lot for 2 years.
Steel City Bots residential design expert Eric Crown over here to discuss why your favorite characters look like garbage and why you are garbage for liking them.
I just like to reiterate again. I do not think you're a bad
today's
person.
segment-
If you like Transcendental Megatron.
Today's segment, Rob Liefeld comics.
Because even Brian Kilby was like, my head agrees with your points, but my heart disagrees. I'm going with my heart. You're a terrible person.
I think
It's like,
I think one of the things that in part might, like, thinking about it as, okay, what could be a reason why people may attach themselves a lot to the original, like the first Transmetal design, because this was just going in my head, but I didn't put any of this out. One, the fact that the toy that they had, the in season 2, Megatron does a lot. So, in a lot of his greatest character moments, he's in that design.
yes.
Yes.
And then the other thing is the fact that that toy, if you had the non-Japanese version, it breaks. So there's a bit of coveting that design physically because of the fact that more likely than not, the version that you had broke.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
And
Say,
Wait, is Miguel some kind of toy
You finish.
psychiatrist now?
I would also like to just point out that I think that Transmetals was a time where, if you were around during it, that it's like, oh, this is like more G1. Not that it is G1, but you know what I mean. Like it was almost like a step towards it, if you know what I mean. Like
What you're saying is it was G1.
like
because
look at
it
like
had
look at.
chrome.
Because it had wheels.
It's more like because it's
It had
mechanical.
wheels.
They're mechanical beasts, which is how beasts were done in G1. Is
well, they're
what I would-
mechanical, but organic robots, kind of.
I
Yeah, so it's
guess.
I feel like that's kind of a thing. I don't know.
Then why did people hate beast machines so much?
They're not as boxy.
They don't have wheels.
You don't know.
No, Rat Trap.
No,
has
Rat Trap
wheels.
does.
That trap is exclusively
Wait, is Beast
wheels.
Machine-
In Beast Machines and in his Transmetal body, they both have wheels.
I knew Transmetal, but I didn't know about Beast Machines.
Yeah, that
Do
was
you not
part
know
of
what
his whole
Beast Machines
thing. He
looks
loses.
like?
He doesn't even have legs.
Yeah, he
is
doesn't.
just
He doesn't have
wheels.
legs. He has wheels.
I
And
don't know
then we-
anything about
here for-
Beast Machines. I know that no
Um,
one likes it.
And then he
That's it.
dates
Beyond that,
robotic
I know
and Ivy.
Trying to go back to crossing the Rubicon and the history lesson, this episode was brought up because of the fact that the Twitter conversation eventually got to the point where it was talking about how in season 3 you only had like one or two episodes to focus on characters who got new bodies, which then led me to sharing in that thread and wanting to plug here. That people should check out RFC's at this point 20-year interview with Larry DiTilio, where he talks about writing for Beast Wars, and this was post the series already, like Beast Machines had already started, and he talks a bit about specifically season 2 and what they had to do. There was the bumping heads with Hasbro in the terms of they are trying to write a family television show that's somewhat sci-fi oriented, and Hasbro's trying to get them to write a toy commercial.
Yeah.
It's a really good interview.
Well, it still ended up being the best Transformers show. No cap.
Animated.
What? It's not Transformers Prime. Although I gotta be honest, I'm not saying it's the best, but Cyberverse is really up there for me by the end of that show. Like,
Oh, yeah.
just looking back, there are not many things I don't like what they did. Like, I can
Same.
probably count on one hand my, real complaints about the show.
You know what? Fair. And I think one of the things is between season pacing is not
The,
great between
I
two.
agree, but but wait, between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3?
1 and 2. 2
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
3, it's
See,
straight up.
I was
and
gonna say,
season two
yeah, I
gets-
was gonna say season 2 is the first part of season 3. So,
Yeah.
But
No, I
Yeah,
feel
the
like
jump between
that's
season
what's-
1 and 2 is wild. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like, how
it's
did we
almost
get
like
here?
they're
What
different
happened?
shows, but I don't
Yeah.
mind it. It was just a little overwhelming
Yeah.
at first. When you look back upon it, I feel like it's still is a very jarring, but it's still like they told the story they wanted to with the first season, and then
Yeah.
the season 2 is the start of what the rest of the show is. Season 3 just went freaking nuts.
I need to
by
watch
the
season
end.
3. I'm like halfway through season 2.
Holy
Season-
crap! Season 3 was like game changer. By the
That's
end,
what I've heard.
I wish we got more of season 3 of
I
like
know. Oh my
more
God.
seasons.
I would love a season 4 that went off of that stuff.
Yes.
Cause
But
like, holy
sadly-
crap.
Don't worry, guys. We get the War for Cybertron trilogy next.
I mean,
I,
I
Not
still
that
have a little
good.
bit of hope for that, but I mean, obviously, I don't think I would rather have a season 4 of Cyberverse.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But
I
like,
have very little hope for it.
not good. It's better than the Prime Wars trilogy.
It looks
has
better-
to
no.
be.
It looks better than the Prime Wars trilogy. There's
Uh,
nothing to say it is better than the Prime Wars
Well,
trilogy.
okay.
Disagree,
Looking better than
disagree,
Prime Wars trilogy
the-
is already something.
It can.
That's
You can
true.
already tell that the voice acting is at least somewhat better.
Yes.
Which
That's
not that all
Wait,
the
you
voice
didn't like-
acting in the Prime Wars was bad,
You
but
didn't
like
like Cowboy Overlord? Well, howdy
okay,
now,
fun
Autobots.
fact. I actually don't hate that take on Overlord. That's one of the few things I don't
don't
hate
either.
about that series. But they Mark Hamill did a bad job, and it's not Mark Hamill's fault. But it's like
No.
your show has to be really bad for Mark Hamill to not be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's all I have to say about that. Anyway,
All right, we're on a ton of tangents.
what are you talking about? That was
we
all.
haven't spoken
planned.
in like a month.
I don't. Do
I
it.
mean, if we want to piggyback off of that TV
Very
show
true.
talk, we can. What was that?
I was going to say, very true, because I just looked at the notes and I'm like, we could have just transitioned right into it flawless.
Right. I was adjusting the show notes, and because of the flow of conversation, Puppet Master in the background. So yeah, the first thing we have up in the show notes is the fact that this past weekend was supposed to be TFCon Orlando. Unfortunately, due to the goings on in the world with the COVID-19 epidemic and whatnot, TFCon Orlando was canceled. Because a couple of people conducted live streams over the course of the weekend. You had Proto Man doing his TF Slag podcast. They did a whole live stream for like 3 hours where people were just going in and like asking questions and like hanging out. You had IDW artists, 2 groups of them chilling and answering questions and whatnot, both run by Josh Perez, Die Mooch on Twitter. And then the last one, which is the one we'll be sharing. Unfortunately, there's no archive of it, but there is a Tumblr post that kind of recaps it. May Cat, who is she was one of the staff writers for Cyberverse, did a Q&A where she answered a ton of questions about Cyberverse, as far as like her thoughts behind your favorite ships or what kind of music Soundwave listens to, along with questions about things that were batted around in the writers' room that didn't necessarily come to pass, like a desire to showcase more alternate reality versions of the Transformers during season 2, such as if they really had unlimited time and money and budget, previous continuity versions of characters like Prime, Animated, G1, or doing palette swaps for Shattered Glass, to things like, one of the things that was on a short list was female Jazz. If they were going to get Jazz in the show, they wanted to gender bend Jazz into a female.
I guess they did get Jazz into the show through a throwaway line.
Right.
Kind of.
Anyone that they didn't necessarily, she did say that they're, anyone that they were like close to getting but couldn't, they kind of just threw lines in to be like, these characters exist. So Jazz and I think Hound was one that she mentioned.
And Grapple. I know Grapple was also mentioned throughout the course of the show.
Yeah. So sort of a thing of like, these characters exist. These characters have lives outside of what you see, stuff like that. So, I was about to say we'll link to it, but we don't put out the show notes, so we have the link. We may tweet it out, or something.
Yeah,
But,
because fortunately there was never a saved recording of this. But there's a pretty good notes and transcript
Yeah.
of this someone's Tumblr.
And
They're
then
really
jumping off of
well-written
that,
notes.
yeah, no, from what I saw from, because I was watching the live stream for a bit, that it does capture things very accurately as well.
I'm not gonna
So-
read it because it'll probably spoil stuff for me for
It
the
does.
show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't
Yeah,
read
no,
it.
it definitely does.
1000%.
Yeah.
Don't read it until you finish season 3, because they even talk about a certain character's fate post season 3.
Yes.
Gotcha.
In fact, the character who I think was probably my favorite, what they did within season 3. So I'm glad that we got some of an answer about that.
Yes.
I also think it's great that they talk about the difference of how Megatron got the Decepticons to live stream and Optimus
Yeah.
Prime just uses typical news outlets, and it's like, I think that's hilariously great.
But then you have to imagine just like Soundwave showing up and being like, "What's good, gamers? Today we're gonna play some Fortnite." Like,
You do know that this version of Soundwave would totally do that.
oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know. How about
Well,
the?
thank this Pasito in the background.
I'll never forget that clip of him and the other Decepticons dancing. How everyone just put the JoJo's torture dance music over it. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many memes to make out of that show.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's a great place to share memes. Conventions.
Are they? Are they a good place to share memes?
Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. Or at least some of us may find out when we go to TFCon Chicago. this
Celebrities,
fall.
do they know things? Let's find out.
So yeah, TFCon USA returns to Chicago this October 23rd through the 25th at the Crown Plaza Chicago O'Hare in Rosemont, Illinois.
Are any of you going?
TFCon Chicago, almost certainly.
Assuming the world returns to some state of normalcy, sure.
If I come into a large sum of money suddenly, then yes.
I'm hoping that it does in time for
$1,200
Toronto.
next month.
What
That
did you just
is
say?
true.
Oh,
That's only if some of us get it. Remember, it's not for everyone, Miguel. That's only if some of us get it. But knowing
I wasn't
it's only
paying
for some
attention.
people. But knowing our luck, knowing the luck of this group, everyone will get it except for Zeus.
and all will be right in the world. Anyways,
Am I wrong? We would all get it,
that is
and then we'd be
basically
like,
how
"Oh,
it
hey,
goes. Zeus, did you get yours? What?
Oh, that's not fair.
Oh.
He left. No.
Oh,
no.
no.
He had to be here.
It's
Oh.
now we'll have to
Himself.
tell him to listen to the episode later.
I'll just make fun of him again when he gets back." You know, I have no issue doing that.
Yeah, he'll come back and you'll be like, Zeus, you're poor, and
He'll be like, "Yes,"
good grief.
or he'll go economically or emotionally.
Good grief. No, that's not right. This man's not here.
That's the answer I would give, and I'm assuming he would give the same answer too.
Good lord. All right. Speaking of kicking people when they're down,
Oh, hey.
this
Uh-oh. Are we having technical difficulties? I think we are. Why is Skype the worst? I don't know. Why don't you guys let me know? Why is Skype the worst? Don't worry, I'ma fix it. And guess what? I think it's about to be fixed.
I linked
Hey, I'm back. Skype sucks.
Okay.
I
Look,
was about to say, guys,
I
he's gone. Let's make fun of him.
All right, Eric, you take the next item after TFCon Chicago. Michael missed his cue.
Michael missed his cue. How could you do that? Oh,
Look,
I'm so
theaters are
excited.
closed. I'm getting rusty.
I am so excited. So we have a listing for the next movie masterpiece, which is MPM 10, and it is Starscream, who should be really big. This would be, in terms of mass, he's like the same as Megatron, isn't he?
He'd probably be the same.
Like, I
Maybe-
don't think he's quite height-wise Megatron, but he's also, wider.
I don't know that he'll necessarily be the same. Like thinking like mass, I feel like he'll be around the same.
Range as Megatron
Like-
is.
He'll probably be as wide as Megatron.
Uh-huh.
The only thing is he's a lot thinner, and he's somewhat shorter.
That is true.
Yeah, and also I know it's a overdone running joke, but his main body is a Dorito, and he just has like noodle limbs compared.
The fact that they never made him in orange colors is the most disappointing thing ever.
The
Like a
closest
sunstorm
thing-
or
movie.
something.
I was like, what are you talking about?
He would look like a Dorito, Eric. That's the joke.
I thought you
Okay.
meant like Orange Lantern Starscream because I've seen like concept art of that and I
No.
love that, and that's why I
That
was like,
would be cool.
what do you mean? Like, why would they do that officially? Like,
No.
Like the only unless I wish there was a common I don't even know if they've ever done pink Doritos, because I'm thinking of the movie One Starscream that's all pink.
There was a movie.
yeah.
wait, what? There
Starscream
was
that
a pink movie One Starscream?
It was it was from Japan. I believe it was you had to buy a DVD player and
Oh
then
yeah,
you were able
I'm
to
looking at
purchase.
it right now.
Holy
This is
crap! I
Starscream.
want it. I'm
Have
Yeah,
fun.
looking
so it was
at
one of-
it. I didn't
it
even
was
know
one of
this
those-
existed.
It's
Yeah, it's
probably
like-
expensive.
Yeah, it was one of those promotional
That's why it's
items
called a
where it's
grail.
like, oh, buy this thing and you get the chance to buy this other thing too. But yeah, MPM 10 Starscream, it's coming in at 2,000. That's not right. It should be 20,000
I was
yen.
gonna say, isn't it?
2,000
Yeah.
yen is
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it should be 20,000 yen. The listing we have doesn't have it right. 20,000 yen, which roughly around $180. So yeah, he's going to be expensive, so he's probably going to be big, like we were talking about. This came in a bundle of listings with a bunch of other stuff. Just confirming that Japan's getting the Netflix WFC figures along with the release dates for some of the Studio Series stuff that was shown off at Toy Fair. So Soundwave, Shatter, Cliff Jumper, Overload, Top Spin, stuff like that. I'm assuming Eric's going all in, so he'll be getting Dorito Scream.
Oh, of course.
I don't think anyone else here has any of the.
No.
Maybe Jared. Jared, do you have any of the
I don't
NPMs?
Yes, I have Barricade, and I have the upscaled, upgraded Weijing Prime.
Okay. Starscream one that you'd want to get, or
Maybe I do really like my Revenge of the Fallen Leader Starscream, so like I'd have to see in-hand pictures of the MPM if I want to get it. Also, Eric, I'm on eBay right now, and Pink Starscream, you'll either be paying $200 or $100.
Not as bad as
I was gonna say, honestly, I kind of expected worse. So,
but that's not a good mold.
No.
but it's a mold that I'm
Yes,
nostalgic for,
You
so
have
I
to
would
remember
be
though,
okay
this is
with
Eric.
it. Yeah, I don't think that mold is good, but like I do have a special place in my heart for that mold. So,
Enough
I-
to spend $100 to $200 on a pink one.
for a whole. I would call that a grail. So like,
You know, it's
I
funny.
think there's
Eric's over
something
here
worse.
like I'm about to spend $200 on a really shitty mold. Then you have me who was at like TFCon earlier this year, and I like touched a box for Raiden, and I was like, I touched it. Like, oh man,
It was last
Different-
year, but yeah.
Yeah,
was
I was
that
gonna
last year?
say-
Oh my god, that was
Yeah.
last year at this point.
Yeah, there were no TF cons this year because the only one got canceled.
Well, it was so late in the year, wasn't it? Oh my
It was
god, wait, no, it
October.
was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, it was
that was later in the
the
year.
later part of the year. It wasn't like the end.
I don't think you understand. My sense of time is gone. Losing it.
Oh boy. Shall we move on before he loses it even more?
Nah,
I
just
mean,
go
he
all the
might,
way.
he might, because we're going to talk about the Netflix figures or the Netflix series again. So,
True.
I need to get Hot Link.
Yeah.
if you go to Canada, you can get them.
Well,
Right
all
now.
I'm saying is I have all the other Seekers for Siege at this point. Can I not get Hot Link? I have to get Hot Link.
Yeah,
Like,
you probably, you have to get Hot Link.
I'm not getting any of the Earthrise ones unless it's like the Coneheads, but like.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the Netflix War for Cybertron, Voyager, Megatron, and Hot Link have been cited in Canada.
Yep.
See, Michael, that's how you don't fuck up a queue.
I gave you the cue.
Yeah, and I rolled with it.
Yeah, you know, fair. Honestly, with the Starscream, I was just like looking and I'm like, okay, this is masterpiece, but I don't remember hearing about new Starscream thinking it was the G1 Starscream. I couldn't even process it was the movie masterpiece.
That's why the extra. That's why
So-
the extra M is there.
No, I know. I was just like looking at it. I'm like, what?
So how do you guys like? I think we discussed it slightly before. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not. But how do you guys feel about the $40 price point?
I mean, with the fact they're coming with 2 Battle Masters, I'm like, okay, I understand. It makes sense. Like, did they
Yeah.
necessarily need to come with the 2 Battle Masters? Not necessarily, but if
That
they're
was my
including them,
thought. Yeah.
but I'm like, sure, they're there. I'll have extra fodder and extra blast effects.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, at the very least, it has they have more extensive like paint and stuff for the deco, so
Mhm.
that's something. But I do kind of miss where, like, the times when you get an exclusive and it's like, oh, it's the same price as like the normal one, but it also comes with extra stuff, or it's just or it's better painted. So,
Yeah.
I like the fact, I do like, I know I probably said this when we were talking about this from Toy Fair, but I do like the fact that Hot Link comes with flamethrowers essentially
Yes.
to kind of echo back to first episode G1.
Yep.
And I like the color scheme on Hot Link. I do like that it's multicolored purple, whereas like the Rainmakers are all just one singular color across the board. Like, don't get me wrong, they're fun. They're like neon on my shelf. But I've always been more of a fan of like the more recent decos of them, you know, like when Acid Storm had a bit of like the camo to him, Sunstorm had a bit of like the leaking yellow and orange.
Yeah.
So, but I think
Oh.
Hot Link will stand out among the like the group of Seekers really nicely.
Yeah. I just need to figure out if I want the Megatron as well.
I don't need another Megatron.
I mean, it would be replacing my current Megatron. I'm just like, that color scheme looks nice, and the battle damage is at least better than the standard Siege one. But like, should I go for it, or should I just like take the battle damage off the Siege one?
Why is his crotch so dirty though? That's my question.
You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want to know what he was doing.
I saw people on Twitter today or yesterday commenting like it looks like he peed himself.
Oh,
Yeah,
also, I would
among
just-
other things.
I'd just like to make a quick tangent, because I've been reading through the Cyberverse Q&A more. I read through parts of it before, but not quite all of it. Optimus Prime, the voice actor, is in his 20s?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the same
Yep.
decade of life as I am?
We've talked
Yeah.
about this before.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. That's weird.
I'm pretty sure he's younger than me.
Oh my
He
god.
might.
I mean, he's older than
I-
me still, for sure, but like, that's
No,
gotta
yeah.
be barely.
Maybe not.
Maybe not younger
No,
than...
2 years older.
How old is he?
He was born. He was born in '97.
So, yeah, we are.
Oh, he's
older.
2 years older than me?
That
That's
gives
so
me.
weird!
You know what that
that's
does? That gives me
so
2 more years to break into the voice acting
And be- no,
scene
but,
and
not
voice
just-
for Transformers.
No, you have to be Optimus Prime, because there's a difference
I have to
between...
be Optimus
It's
Prime.
not
I
just
could-
being in a Transformers show. This is a 22-year-old
my
Optimus Prime.
would have to be a younger Optimus Prime, man. I could never do the like. My name is. I could never do that. I'd have to be like, hey,
Animated
guy,
Prime?
like
He'd be
animated.
an animated Prime, yeah.
I'd have to be animated or something like RID. Like
He's the
01. 01
Oh, I was
RID.
gonna say, I was like,
No, 01 RID. I realized it the moment I said it.
Yeah.
Wait,
Hey,
are we
maybe
doing
they're
Optimus
going to
impressions?
make him the Maybe they'll make him the standard Optimus Prime voice for the next 50 years.
That's kind of crazy. I think I like his Optimus more knowing that now.
Yeah, you're
Optimus-
like, damn, he's that young. That's kind of cool.
Optimus and Megatron took me a long time to warm up to them in particular in Cyberverse, but by the end I do like both of them.
Oh,
a lot.
yeah.
I do like when people do their own takes, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why I like Animated's voice so much, and like Robots in Disguise, like O1's voice, just the different types of voices that aren't. I'm doing a Peter Cullen impression, like.
Yes. Or
Peter Cullen would appreciate it if you don't do a Peter Cullen impression.
Yeah.
Didn't he
that's
say that in
true.
an interview?
Yep,
There's a
even-
video.
Well,
there's
Frank
a video
Welker.
from a-
Oh no, they both said it. I think it was actually.
yeah,
Peter
there's a
Cullen
video
that
from a
said it.
convention where the two
Yeah.
of them are because someone asked them, it's like, how do you feel about the fact that people are impersonating you? It's like, y'all really shouldn't do that when people are still alive.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
they
it's
were
kinda messed
basically
up.
like, if they're not dead, that's kind of a bad thing to do.
yeah.
It's like, what was I gonna say? It's like I look at it like this. It's because Hasbro's hiring non-union. Like
no,
that's
that's
really
really
what
why
it is.
They literally said that in that interview. too.
When
Yeah.
the question was served to them, the person asking it didn't mention the non-union thing. They did.
I was gonna say they
Yeah.
did. They
Well,
brought
no,
that
It
up.
was-
also like it's also very apparent that they're doing non-union because they had a bunch of like actual actors and wrestlers voice acting, and they wouldn't be in any of the voice acting.
Well,
like
and also just
unions.
because they literally, when they did make that switch, Rescue Bots was what gave that away. They were like, yeah, we're switching Optimus Primes, no longer Peter Cullen because we're not doing Union. Like,
yeah,
literally-
so I have my issues with that, but I also do enjoy the fact that they're giving these younger people a chance to do stuff, like with Optimus Prime being like a 25-year-old. Like that's cool.
No, he's a
Yeah.
22-year-old.
25, 22.
Or 22, whatever. Yeah.
22, 23.
No,
this
he's
year.
23.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but he's...
Because
Yeah.
I'm still.
I
I'm
just
still-
rounded
You're
it up.
older than Optimus Prime, Michael!
He's turning 23 in May. I said
How does
it.
it feel to be?
Oh, that's
How's it
right.
feel to be 4 million
You're
years old, Michael?
You're almost as old as Optimus Prime.
That's
Look.
wild.
No, I'm old. Yeah, I'm going to be 25 in a week.
It's like voice. Like, yeah, I'm personally not a fan of when cartoons take a voice impression route. Like that's why I love John DiMaggio as Joker, because it's different. It's not Mark Hamill. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not just a Mark Hamill impression. So
I really
Yeah.
can... So, side note. Can we do an episode with the people who have finished Cyberverse at some point soon?
Yes.
I mean,
because like I am
could literally
dying.
finish it tomorrow.
Please do, because I'm dying to talk about that last season because I feel like that's some of the furthest
best.
out they've ever gone in a Transformers show.
The
Like-
question is, are we actually going to do it? Because we said we'd do a podcast about another show a while back, and we still haven't done that.
Good show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which...
The feed has been down for a month, and
That's true.
I had a side project related to that thing you're talking about that didn't get off the ground, so we'll revisit that. But Cyberverse, I think we
Oh,
definitely
oh,
should.
Cyberverse, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get off like the whole voice acting thing, I'm interested to hear how characters like Hot Link and stuff sound in the show, because they
That-
don't really have like voices. You know what I mean? I wonder if they're gonna go for like just the generic gruff that he had in
Or-
the original.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or if they'll actually give it some new
Yeah.
character.
Well, I mean, it's a purple seeker. If they follow the Cyberverse logic, it's It's going to be a female voice.
Hey,
That'd be
I'm
kind of
down.
cool though.
No, I'd be definitely cool with it. I'm just saying because Slipstream's
Don't
got
think they'll
purple,
do that.
Nova Storm's got purple, Skywarp's got purple.
I don't think they'll do that because they're not as awesome as Cyberverse. But
No, agreed. Agreed.
although I do have to
Well,
admit, I am very curious about the character of Ultra Magnus for that show above anything. Like the rest
He's
of the show, I'm
showing
like,
up in
eh.
a cape, bro.
Ultra, I know,
Magnus
I love
cape.
it. I love it.
I'm
I want
really-
Ultra Magnus to
figure-
always wear a cape from now on. It's so
If that-
good.
If that spoiler figure does not come with a cape, I will make one. I will learn how to make soft
I know.
goods.
I will be
I-
very upset if he doesn't, and yeah, I will be in the same boat.
I was like,
That's
do
what
I buy
we'll go to a
Magnus?
convention and we'll make them together. We will sit in a hotel room
Yes.
like the day
Dude, we
before a
could sell
convention, and we'll
those.
start sewing them. Yes, we could sell them on the floor. Okay, so
I
here
still really want them
the-
to reveal
the-
that. Wait,
you want it
can
to be
people
toy
hear me?
colors. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, because I was I was saying stuff earlier and no one was responding. I was worried I was muted.
You
Oh,
were
no, I didn't
muted
hear.
for a while.
Maybe you were then. You're not now, at the very least.
All right.
That Ultra Magnus isn't gluten free.
What?
What?
Mm-hmm. It says it on the listing on Walmart's website. That Ultra Magnus is not gluten free.
I
He doesn't come with a cape. He comes with water and bread.
Something in the packaging is made of wheat.
Cake?
God, I can't tell if like that was just something they put or like if there's gonna actually be something
Wait.
in there.
It wasn't there a description like with the full listing, like talking about like pulling energon cubes out of something?
I think you have to dig energon cubes out of the packaging.
I wonder if there's going to be like a yeasty kind of thing in there.
A yeasty kind of thing.
It's easy.
no,
No,
you
it's
know
a
how,
easy
like-
kind of thing.
A yeasty kind of thing. Well, you know
Kanye
how in Japan they
crossover.
do those wafers that come with like stickers? What if they just start doing that with Transformers? They start packaging wafers with stickers.
I think it's you have to dig out like energon cubes or something. But I was listening to
out. What's
WTF
it
and
gonna come
TFW, and it meant they were going off about the fact that Ultra Magnus isn't gluten free.
How am I,
I
supposed
just, like-
to get
oh,
an
man.
Ultra Magnus now?
I'm just waiting for him to show up with this cape and just like mark some dudes, and it's gonna be awesome. Why is he
I thought
wearing
you
the
were gonna
cape?
say die.
No, like why is he wearing the cape? I don't care why he's wearing the cape. He's wearing a cape. Maybe he's in exile. Maybe he's like a mercenary at first. Who knows? Mercenary Ultra Magnus sounds awesome.
Maybe he's hiding his Autobot symbol so he can go into Decepticon territory.
Or
That's
that,
what I
yeah.
thought was being implied.
All I'm saying is making Mirage a Decepticon makes no sense because he can go invisible. And I have said this and I will continue to say it. His main power is spying on people. Why would he have to become a Decepticon?
Well,
Maybe
there's a
he
big
doesn't
difference
go
between where
invisible
you
yet.
can get if you are a part of the enemy
Decep-
faction than just being invisible and watching.
I've brought this up with him before. It won't work.
Let me put it like this. Let me put it like this. If he's invisible, he can get anywhere he wants because he can just follow someone into a room.
See, I told you.
Look, I'm just happy it exists so I can have a Shatterglass Mirage.
ASMR arguing.
Oh boy. Anyway,
Miguel, I do agree with you. They should have used the toy head. That was a missed opportunity.
That's
From
a
the
deep
clear.
cut to an old tweet.
Next, let's get off of this. What's next?
Jared already made the cape for his Ultra Madness. We're all behind.
Oh
Well, I mean, he just took it from Darker Than Megatron, but still.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna make
half
a
expecting
wired
that
one.
that's what's going to be in the box.
yeah.
It's going to be that cape.
They're
No,
going to
but
take
that's not
take-
soft goods. That's bad goods.
Wait.
I want to
Hold
make
on.
a wired one though.
Yes.
I want to make
You
it so
already
Ultra
talked
Magnus
about
can
why
swing the
making
cape
wired
out.
capes on another show. We already have that in like the pre-show of another show.
Wait, really? We do?
No, there was one show where you started looking up tutorials on how to make wired capes, and you went off
Never
about it. What?
Which one of us, Eric or
You.
me? Me?
Aaron.
Oh.
You don't even remember that?
No, I was doing the same thing last night. I went on like a 3-hour deep dive of, all right, how do I make custom chains for my spawn? How do I make custom capes?
You've
Like,
done this on the show before.
I
Yeah, it was for your Doctor Doom.
and now I remember because I was saying, because we were talking about like how Hasbro should do more soft goods and whatnot. I didn't actually
There's
look
a picture of it in this.
I did, but that one was sold. That one was sold out. And I was asking you, how did they get the hood off of the hat or off of the head?
Right, and then you went on your deep dive.
And I went on the deep dive again last night, but this time it was how to make them.
Oh God. No, but you did start. No, you started talking about okay, if I can't buy them, I can make them. You did mention that.
But I didn't look up tutorials that day.
So how do you
God.
make them?
You can either hot glue wire to it or you can sew the wire to it. Depends on what you want it to look like. It's actually a lot simpler than I thought it would be.
So it's not like sticking a wire in between two capes? Is the
You can
wire
do that if
dependent
you
can
want.
see
If
it,
you
or-
want a multicolored one, you could do that.
We've entered the customizing portion of the podcast.
Hey man, Ultra Magnus with a soft goods cape would be amazing. Imagine having your Ultra Magnus pose with like the cape flapping in the wind.
Oh, it's funny that you're talking about the customizing portion of the podcast because right now I'm doing some custom work on Grapple, like as we speak.
I already
Anyways,
did my customizing work. but
I say
I'll
we
get
move on
that
to the
later.
next topic of a new Optimus Prime Takara Tomy Mall exclusive.
It's Nemesis Prime, but yeah.
Exactly.
Um,
Eric's gonna be like, I need it.
I do need it.
I kind of want it too. I didn't want that mold, but I love that it's in those colors.
you guys didn't pre-order this yet. You're probably out of luck.
Yeah.
That's what the aftermarket.
False. I was just gonna say I can overpay for it later. Don't you underestimate me.
All right. But yeah, the Takara Tomy Mall Siege Nemesis Prime is out in Japan, and there's pictures of him. Shocker! He's a black and teal Optimus Prime with Alpha Trion's sword.
Wait, he is?
Yeah,
I'm trying to see if anyone has it up for pre-order. I'm looking.
I'd be surprised. Most places were out back when I was pre-ordering him, and I managed to get him from the Chosen Prime.
That's where I'm looking right now. Pre-order sold out. Okay. And he's $60 upon release, meaning he's going to be at least $100 on the aftermarket.
Sounds legit. Interestingly enough, they didn't recolor his box art. They just gave him Optimus Prime's like box art with the same colors.
Wild.
Zeus says "wild" in the background.
I'm looking for it, man.
But yeah, it's out. If that's so, anyone who's pre-ordered it from any of the domestic retailers like BBTS, I don't even know if BBTS had
I
it.
forgot that this was a thing, and now I'm
Chosen
like,
Prime, TF Source.
Ages 3 and up is sold out. TF Source is sold out. I'm looking.
It'll probably be a couple of weeks, and then this will be trickling in along with
Robot Kingdom is also out.
I would think that the C-Cons are also, the last wave of C-Cons are probably due soon, from Takara Tomy Mall, and then from the various retailers. Or if you ordered from Pulse, the wave 1 C-Con should be shipping out soon. Turtler and Golf.
Everywhere
Moving
is
right
out.
along. Talking about more Japanese exclusives, we have something Zeus was very excited about and showed it, shared with us earlier today. Skinned Optimus Primal cannot hurt you.
Now, I don't mean to go backwards, but do you think I should pre-order it from the UK?
No.
From the UK.
Why not?
If you're really hurting to get it, check Oh My Primus.
I have
They're a
no
store
idea.
out of Singapore, and they tend to have stuff for a bit longer than other retailers.
They're a reliable website.
Yes.
Thank you.
But yeah.
Anyways, Skinned Optimus Primal is terrifying.
Yeah. MP38 Plus Burning Convoy. So this is the clear red redeco of Masterpiece Primal. To coincide with Lio Convoy, because this is how Primal showed up in the Beast Wars 2nd movie. We'll be waiting to see if they do a Flash Lio Convoy, I'm assuming. But yeah, he looks terrifying.
I've seen pictures of Leo Convoy in hand, and Leo Convoy also looks terrifying.
For different reasons.
The robot mode, he looks amazing.
For different reasons, yes. Magic Square's doing a Ghostbusters figure?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Optimus.
I didn't even know that. I'll have to get that.
Zeus, you sound like you're 10 million miles away.
It doesn't look like Oh My
It's like
Primus has
5
it.
feet away.
10 million miles.
Nemesis Prime doesn't even, or it's not. It doesn't even look like Oh My Primus even has it up for pre-order
Well,
or a
I
pre-order
tried.
page of it. Well, you tried. I could order it from the UK if they send to
Desperate
here.
are you?
I would say wait, and because if other places get it in stock, like
That's
TF
true.
Source is good at once the pre-orders come in, they have a bit of extra stock. So I would check. I would keep an eye out on
Yeah,
that.
it's $60 though, so we'll see.
Is anyone getting Burning Convoy?
Oh hell no!
No.
Not
Absolutely
me.
not.
All right.
And I want to get.
I don't think so.
I want to get some
It goes
some
on sale later, maybe.
Beast Wars masterpieces, but they're just so expensive.
They are.
Like-
Tigatron's a must for me still, though.
He's
Buy
so
my Optimus Primal.
expensive, though. I always forget how big Tigatron is.
Mm.
All right, then, if we're moving along.
Something about a screaming Starscream.
Oh yeah, Coronation Starscream face.
Or at least that's the going thinking. Yeah.
That's what it looks
Someone.
like,
So someone got a Siege. Wow. No, he's not Siege. EarthRise. Someone's EarthRise Starscream. Came with a different face. He's screaming.
Wait, that's what
instead of-
happened? I thought it was just like a sample, like someone
Nope.
like found a picture.
No,
of it.
someone
no,
got
someone
this.
bought this like in a just regular box that had.
Right.
Oh.
This is like the Oh god.
The
which
chrome
one-
dome with the Japanese head.
Yeah,
Well,
but
not
is it-
not quite. No, that's a different thing. That was a production. That was a whole separate production error. The RID 2015 Soundwave. There's the two versions, one with a faceplate and one without a faceplate.
Oh, that's right.
And I don't
Yeah.
remember which one was the actual version and which one was the like.
version's the one without the faceplate.
Wait, there's
I
an
found-
RID 2015 Soundwave that doesn't have the faceplate?
Most of them don't.
I have. I found another one that.
Wait,
had
what?
the faceplate
That he has a mouth?
to buy it.
No,
Well,
he's got
no,
the
it's like-
visor face like the
Oh,
Prime
oh,
one.
oh.
So one, yeah,
That's
the one
right, yeah.
has the two versions. Like one of them, the one has like basically Prime Soundwave's face, and then the
Yeah.
other one matches the box art. So he has a faceplate. So the visor just becomes like G1 Soundwave's eyes.
Gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
So yeah, this is someone bought. Yeah, insane Galvatron on TFW 2005. Bought an EarthRise Starscream and he had a open mouth rather than having the closed one.
Is this the only reported case of this happening?
So as far as I understand, yes, this is the only one.
Okay.
So here's the question: do we think it's a sample head that got mixed into some production runs and they made that one for some of the ones? You know what I mean? Like, you know, sometimes like just file because they use like 3D modeling to make these. So there's a chance that wrong model was sent out for a mold or whatever. There's a chance that this could be the head for something later on.
The mold, like whatever they designed for the mold, like anything that they pre-tooled essentially for the mold
It's all printed at once.
yeah, it's all
Gotcha.
on. It's
Okay.
all on the steel mold. It's just blocked off so that doesn't get plastic and doesn't get produced, or it does it and then they just recycle it.
Yeah.
So this was just probably a case of when it was run, the wrong face was. Or even it could have been like whatever was supposed to go in the recycle pile went into put this one on the toy pile.
So do you think there's a chance this could be a different figurehead that was just used for the wrong one?
If it does get used, because this happens all the time, they design stuff that they don't end up using. It was more common like in the 2010s. I feel right now anything that they do tool, they eventually come out with.
Usually.
This will probably, like most people, the thinking was that they would do a Coronation Starscream.
That would be kind of cool, to be honest. That would be like that would make me buy an EarthRise Starscream.
Like a Skywarp.
No.
The only thing is it's not like Siege Starscream versus like Siege Redwing or Thundercracker. Like, you know, it's like specifically it looks a lot like his face from that scene. So that's the only reason I would say that I don't think it's likely to be seen on anyone other than a Coronation Starscream. But I mean, it's not impossible.
So then here's a question: if we do think that it is going to result in a Coronation Starscream set, is it possible that he would get the black and gray treatment, or would he still be in his standard
I feel like
colors?
that would be an exclusive.
Ooh.
That or a
No, I would think that my best case scenario would be that they would go halfway. Let me check something. Let me double check something.
Next, Toy Fair
Okay,
2021.
no.
You guys want your dead Starscreams? They're on sale now. Like,
Black and gray screaming the coronation gear, because then in the scene, the coronation gear stays the same color.
Yeah.
So you have the gear, which you can put on your normal Starscream,
Yeah.
and then you have the
That's
dead one.
And then you have a
Yeah,
dead
that's
Starscream.
what
Yay!
Oh, I just remembered. Didn't we see on the box art for EarthRise hidden away somewhere that there was a Galvatron?
Yeah, he's floating on the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the
our-
other side
we're probably
is
to get hit
Rodimus
with
or
2-pack.
Rod.
Man, guys, I love getting G1 repackaged with new joints. Honestly, you know what? I don't hate it. I really like Grapple. He's just his G1 figure with
That's what I was
joints.
just about to say. I was like, well,
Do
we
you
could
remember?
talk- we
Did
could
you
talk
see
about
that tweet I
EarthRise.
made a couple weeks back where I was like, I'm so tired I mistook my G1 Grapple for a second Earthrise?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, I was walking really quickly out of my room and I had put my G1 Grapple on a shelf and my Earthwise Grapple on my desk. And I was like, wait, why do I have two grapples? Like, I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell?
Total nonsense.
Oh! I want to move on to the next thing because this next
Yeah.
thing makes me
At least G1 Grapple has
so
hands.
happy. I love this so much. This is
How happy.
it made me so happy. Like
Dude,
I
saw
cannot.
this and I was like, that's awesome.
I know it's so like there's literally I don't think you could possibly not like this news or I mean worst case scenario I feel like you just not care but hey guess what Blackout's been a Transformer longer than we thought kind of
Yay!
because
Yep.
the G2 what's it called Black Death Starscream is what people are
Yes.
calling it right turns out that the name for that was gonna be Blackout so not only is Blackout have a older you know, conceived,
Incarnation.
yeah. But also it's a seeker, which is kind of neat. I kind of dig that.
You know, now would be the perfect time to make figures of these ideas, but they won't because legacy names are just dumb
agree.
nowadays.
I think that this should totally be one of the seekers they do. Yes.
I'm going to remind you, there was a Decepticon Micromaster that was
There
released
was.
in 1990 that was named Blackout.
I don't
It was.
care.
You forgot an Eric.
That doesn't count.
But-
That's like saying Micromaster Barricade count. He doesn't
Like-
count. That's not Barricade.
I think like
I think this is still Blackout.
like my thing with it is if naming conventions in Transformers weren't the way they are now, where like everyone has to be the original incarnation they were, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we could have gotten the Seeker Sandstorm now, or at least those colors, and the Seeker like Blackout because of how many Seekers they're doing.
I don't necessarily think that we couldn't ever, like, if they really wanted to go, like, really deep with Seeker repaints, I don't necessarily think they couldn't do.
I think it'd be very unlikely.
I mean, unlikely
if
for
they
in the
did,
sense that it's like
Super. I mean,
F tier like Seekers out of all of the different repaints you could do. But
Yeah.
I don't. When it's like a deep cut, like Generation Selects relate, like kind of style.
that's what I was just about to say. I was like,
That's
Selects,
true.
in all honesty, could totally
could.
do it, and it would be like at this point, it would just be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like that's just how Selects is at this
I'm surprised
point.
we haven't gotten a nacelle yet.
We're worst case scenario, if we did get the G2 Sandstorm and they didn't want to call it Sandstorm, Sandstream is sitting right there.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like
right.
that.
So like, and I think
Or
on
Dust
some
Storm.
level, the whole not having confusing names thing doesn't really apply. Like for something that's going to be like tied to some sort of media, like a TV show specifically, like for kids, you want to keep those things consistent for the sake of having an evergreen character. But for something like it's going to show up on Pulse and all of the 40-year-olds and 20-year-olds who for some reason are buying these.
We're gonna sell
Yeah.
it. to
I
who
got
we're
you.
gonna
Yeah, no,
sell it to.
you're right. You're right on that.
But yeah, no, this just makes me so happy that it's like, oh, this thing that we already knew about, we know something else about it. That makes it even cooler.
It's
Yeah.
like new. It's like stuff you never thought you'd find out.
Yeah. Oh, but
Yes.
I mean, on the topic of you talking about G1 with ball joints, do we want to move to talking about EarthRise a bit? Because
I mean, he said joints, and then the common thing
I mean, I
he
guess
needs-
I was gonna say, I guess technically, ball joints would be the wrong term to use as well.
Right, and I was about to say, it's like you know better.
These are what hinge
Fairly
joints.
any.
I don't know the names of
I
joints.
mean, technically, there's still ball joints on like
I said
sound
barely.
barrier. Yeah, no,
Well,
I know,
wait.
I wasn't correcting
What's the
you. I'm just
name?
saying,
What's the
like,
name of the joints? Hinge joints? I don't know what the name of the joints are.
Yeah, it'd be-
Universals.
yeah,
We're-
I mean, it
we're-
depends on how you're.
Yeah. I mean, the arms have both a hinge and a rotation joint.
Yes.
We're just talking about the fact that like for this new trilogy, they were like ball joints are almost out the window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like heads and small toys can still have them, but overall, yeah.
And
they're-
heads.
I wish more Transformers had ball joints for heads, or at least they would be decent ball joints.
That's
Yeah.
the one thing that I feel like Grapple is missing.
Is a ball joint head?
Yeah.
How would his head even move with a ball joint? It's
Well,
flat.
I mean-
Like
Yeah, I've got to side with Darren on that. But anyways,
I
Be
feel
kinda
like
limited,
they can make
yeah.
it fit.
Do we
It's-
wanna-
Cliff jumper has a slight ball joint, but not enough to really do anything with.
yeah. So
No,
I just want to first talk about how's distribution of EarthRise been for all of you guys? Like how easy / hard
I
is
found
to
it
find
at
stuff?
Best Buys more than anything.
yes.
Which is interesting.
I didn't get out very much before
Yeah,
every
before the
unlock.
world ended. Yeah.
when I did, the only things that I saw were the Voyagers and one Astro Train.
Okay.
So,
I
not-
just saw
I-
Astro Train for the first time like 2 days ago.
I
Why are you
went-
still going out of your house, Eric?
It was at the store.
Yeah. I went out to Target a week ago looking for disinfectant wipes for my work, and they still didn't have any EarthRise out. I think there was a report that there was at least one Wheeljack spotted there at some point, but that's been about it besides the Micromasters.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I went to a lot of stores after the initial sighting of EarthRise against my whole mantra of like I'm going to try to get things on the cheap, and then pursuing that goal after the whole BOGO sale for Target,
Mm-hmm.
and just with all the stores that I went to, it seems like one that stores were either sitting on a lot of Siege product from the end of the last year, or
yeah, a lot of Walmarts.
they
have
were
them, and I see-
sent a whole bunch of it from the warehouses.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that helped was any stores that did have the dedicated end cap for Cyberverse, because that's where they were offloading a bunch of stuff and putting out the Siege stuff. I mean, EarthRise.
EarthRise, yeah.
My
So
car
any
doesn't have end cap.
my local one does it, but a lot of the other ones do. So I was able to find a few that had, at the very least, the Voyagers out, and then I was able to ask about pulling the deluxes, and then the leaders I've only ever seen at Best Buy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John and I both got an Optimus Prime at Best Buy. I hadn't seen them before until the other day when I said I saw EarthRise Astro Train, which I've still never seen. Oh no, I did see a Siege Astro Train once, or did I? I don't know if I did actually. I think
I've
I've
kind
only
of
seen
reached
EarthRise Astro Train, but there was also a Prime at Walmart, but again that was once. I've never seen the deluxes. I've seen one Starscream that I bought in a million grapples.
Same.
And I've seen the Micromasters, just haven't bought them yet, and I have not seen a single sound barrier, whom I want dearly.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
I did see one singular sound barrier at my Target and bought it.
I saw everything except like the micro guys at Best Buy. That's where I grabbed my Cliff Jumper, and I grabbed my grapple from I think like a Walmart or a Target.
Mm-hmm.
So
For me, I found my leaders at my Target. Found Astro Train first. Very next day, Prime was out, so I grabbed him. I found all my deluxes except for Wheeljack and Cliff from Best Buy. Cliff Jumper I got off of Pulse, and I got the Voyagers out of my Target. And for the Micromaster guys, I got them off Amazon.
yeah, I'm reaching a point where I might just start buying stuff off of Pulse. Yeah.
I'm like
If-
99% sure that my Target has all the like a bunch of EarthRise stuff. The thing is,
They just haven't been able to stock it.
Yeah, because we literally have so much siege stuff. It's insane. Like we literally have the full like impact or mirage barricade set in the back room, just
Yeah.
there because I've literally never seen them like that with in the shelves at my store.
Also, I'm certain they're probably prioritizing stocking other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Moment in time.
Yeah.
Understandably so, but
What's everyone's favorite EarthRise toy that they've gotten so far?
Well,
And
I
what
only
do
have
you-
2 of them so far.
And what do you think of the line so far? Because I will say that like it is clearly the sequel to Siege, but it is definitely different.
yes.
Yeah. I of the 2 I have Cliff Jumper and I have Grapple. I would say between the 2 of them, I vastly enjoy Grapple more. Just in terms of like, I don't know, look. Not like they both have about the same posability, but like just in terms of like look and things I can get them to do and like fiddling around with them, I like Grapple a lot more. Grapple feels a little more solid, personally to me, than Cliff Jumper, because Cliff Jumper has that parts forming back, and that thing loves to spin on its axis. So
Not even fair.
I
yeah.
want the Deluxes so bad. I love my Grapple and Starscream. They're both really good, but like Optimus Prime is one of the best mainline Transformers toys just
Yeah.
ever.
I want that Optimus. I haven't wanted
It's
an Optimus in a
amazing.
while.
And
but-
again,
That-
that's the thing is like I wasn't even that excited for it. I didn't even know if I was gonna get it, and I still stand by my statement that his torso is a little small proportionally to his legs. But like,
Yeah.
it's still, it is just amazing in hand. It is
The-
one of the best Transformers toys.
The
just
engineering
period.
magic in that torso is
Yeah.
so good.
Like I
Yeah.
took the time to literally count like how many like soul pieces are in the torso
It's
because I was
crazy.
bored. And there was I
Yeah.
counted like 22 to 25
And-
pieces.
There,
And
it's
it
one of
was
those.
a removable matrix.
It's
Yeah.
one of those
Mhm.
things where the leader price point on that thing is more in the fact how that like where if you're trying to look for where the money is,
It's
It's
in
the
his
engineering.
chest. It's in his
it's in his
chest.
torso,
Yeah.
and then which part in some part of me is almost like, you know what, the money that you spent on the trailer, you could have just made new legs,
Yeah,
and
which
I would have been
would've
happy.
I mean, and I'm fine with how the legs are, but yeah, no, that I agree. It's like seeing just what they did with the rest of it. It's like had they gotten to do that with 100% of the figure, would have been mind blowing. Also, if
But
you had an
I-
axe, but
Because the trailer pisses me off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Well-
so bad.
Unless you
Uh,
can paint it, which I painted mine up, but like
Even painting it, like it's not so much the paint; it's the fact that the little. It's mostly one, the fact that Roller isn't there. Like
Yeah.
I
would've-
know
would've-
that's it hurts me.
either if Roller was there or if the repair drone did more.
Yeah,
Guys,
Yeah.
I'm doing stupid and I'm pre-ordering EarthRise stuff on Big Bad Toy Store. I shouldn't be, but I am.
why? Big
Okay,
Bad
I was
Toy
about to
Store
say,
for
I was
Pulse?
like, you can't really do it on Pulse because Pulse has a bunch of them sold out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I was, all right.
Well, I need to watch my pre-orders because I'm realizing some of my pre-orders are stacking up on certain months, and I'm like, all right, I need to.
You're gonna hurt yourself.
Well, no,
Oh.
the thing is, the reason I'm fine doing pre-orders on Big Bad is because I can cancel them if I need to,
Yep.
which I can't do with other websites like Amy, where I get a lot of my Japanese stuff from.
Yep.
So it's like
Which is fair.
I watch what I pre-order where and when.
Um.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, so I feel like with this line, what we've gone through is like, Siege introduced us to the concept of like, this is okay, this is our mindset going forward. Like, we're redoing Generations, and
Yeah.
it's not, this is what Generations is now. We're redoing classics, essentially. You know what I mean? But it's our version, like this design team's version. And then Earthrise is like, okay, we eased you into it. This is it. Like, this is what we've been. Like that was the warm up.
Transition period.
Yeah, that was your transition period. We're here. This is just full blown what it is, and I'm not necessarily mad because while it's not the creative direction I want to go, the toys are so solid. They're so
Yeah.
solid.
And we're getting some figures that like we haven't really gotten anything of, like Ironworks and whatnot, and
yeah,
But-
exactly.
like
But now
Fast
see-
Track and
See, I'm mad because this should have been year one.
I understand that anger.
If
do-
this
I
was
mean-
last year,
I do want to say my biggest, and I should have mentioned this when I was talking about what I have. My biggest gripe with Cliff Jumper is his price point. This is not a $20 figure, in my opinion.
I disagree. I love him, and I
love-
fully
yeah.
am fine paying $20 for him because if we had to pay less for
Wouldn't
a
be as
cliff
good.
jumper, he wouldn't have been as good.
I can understand, but do you get why I say that though? Like,
No, his size is definitely a thing, and but I think for how much he does within he feels like a substantial figure at that size.
Yes.
It's just unfortunate that to get a substantial quote unquote feeling figure at that size,
It
he
has
has
to
to
be
pay
deluxe.
$20
Yeah.
because then
And while there is Hoist, who is significantly much taller than him and many of the other deluxes, he is also by far the most hollow deluxe.
he's also made of a lot of clear plastic.
That's
Yeah.
terrifying. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's. I think it's weird that people are complaining about paying $20 for Cliff Jumper because I'm used to collecting a lot of the Iron Factory and the Magic Square stuff where you're paying upwards of $30 for a figure that's not.
I mean,
Yeah, I was
that-
gonna say
that-
you're paying for quality over size,
Yeah.
but that's still different because that's a third-party company.
Right.
But what I'm saying is though that you're getting a figure that, from all accounts, what I'm understanding is at least kind of on par with the quality of an Iron Factory in terms of transformation and parts count. Not
don't know if I'd
exactly
agree
one to
with
one.
that.
I feel like they're apples to oranges. In a lot of ways. But the trying to go back to the whole thing about just the line as far as what we're being presented and everything in this design team, it's one of those things that what's so frustrating is that last year all of the turn all the way back to when we were first shown Siege, and everyone people who complaining, it's why didn't you do this instead? You almost got it.
And then it's just oh
And
yeah, no,
then
we
years-
did. You're gonna buy this one first, and then a year later you'll get the one you're talking about.
Guys, we listened, so we did it. G1 with knees and no battle damage, and we're all like,
Where
what?
was this last year?
Because now we're only going to get 2 years of this line, where if we had gotten 3 years, it's you could have done pretty much most of the G1 show, the ARC crew, and some guys who from season 3 and 4 who kind of needed it.
Yeah.
I will say I'm
like,
not super mad. I'm not super mad about Siege because the only there's Prime, there's Starscream, there's certain characters. Their toys are entirely different to the point where I enjoy them, but it's still why did I buy the first one if this one is just the better one? But
Also,
a lot of it's
we
Shockwave,
com-
Soundwave, those. It's you know what I mean? It's they
Yeah, but
don't.
Soundwave
really
didn't
count
even
as-
really have a alt mode is the thing.
Yeah,
Right,
I don't count them as having an alt mode really, but it's they did them in that scale, and I think that's why, if I had to take a guess, it's because they weren't gonna really make it into the whole EarthRise theme. I don't
But
know.
EarthRise doesn't. But no. But we have the whole quote unquote theme is the approach to Earth. Some guys have their Earth modes already. Some guys don't. So the whole because you have this sort of second wave guy. A lot of the second, third wave guys are basically oh, this space battle. That's where you could have thrown Ape Face and Soundwave. I mean Shockwave and some of the other Impactor.
I do understand where you're coming from, Miguel, but I'm going to also say we were basically complaining from day one that most of the Siege toys weren't alien enough and just were at best futuristic. So we don't lose anything out. Sideswipe, Hound, those kinds of bots, they were valid. They were valid, and they probably would have been.
They still fit in. Yeah.
I mean, yes and no, only because it's now for some guys we are getting Starscream, we're getting round 2.
No, yeah.
Optimus, we're getting round 2.
Ones that are more
But
drastic.
then at the end of the line, let's say we do get here's the entire ARC crew, here's all these guys. Some of them are going to be in that spot. We're getting the Datsuns again. Are we gonna get Hound again? Are we gonna get Mirage again? Are we gonna get if we do, are they gonna be different enough to? Because and who knows? They might be because comparing
Well, like Siege and EarthRise
well, Smokescreen.
Prime, or Smokescreen. It's like they are
Smokescreen looks like
a whole
night
new.
and day between the
Yeah.
two.
I feel like I have to get that smoke. Like I started.
Oh,
on...
I'm excited to get that Smokescreen. I'm not even
Mhm.
mad.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. Well, my thing.
I
my-
am mad. I'm mad I bought the
Because
last
that's
one.
the only one of the 3 that I have is that smoke screen. And now it's just completely
I have like
useless.
I have Barricade and Blue Streak, and I'm like, are they gonna remake them too? Are they not?
Yeah, I
Blue
like,
have
Streak,
Barricade.
almost
God.
certainly.
If I can-
Barricade, I'm curious as to what happens with him. Also, I will
I
kill
hope they
someone if I
remake
don't get a Blue
Barricade.
Streak.
Yeah.
Because
I
I'm like,
hope
this
they do
head's felt
too.
better.
but
Oh,
the
I
thing is
agree.
this. My thing
More
is,
like
with this
it.
mold is this: as long as it has better knees, I will buy it any day over the ones I have. Because the Dotson mold knees are awful.
Are they on yours? They're fine on mine.
Awful on both of mine. I lift up my Barricade and his knees buckle.
That's my Barricade completely. Like literally, as soon as I opened him out of the box, I like tilted him forward to like look at him. Knee, just drop.
His knees are so weak.
The knees
And
on
they
mine
are-
are perfectly fine.
They are so weak.
Yeah,
and like
I
that's
find that strange. Mine are totally.
that's why I
good.
love Grapple though. Like his knees are so solid. Like he's just a solid figure. But
He's a brick on wheels.
the legs on this one
They're like
look
in a
better
good-
though. I will say the legs on the Datsun do look better.
Could I-
Than one.
Can I go back to say something about the EarthRise smokescreen?
Go for
Yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate how we got the original one, the Siege one, and now the EarthRise one. Like, there's a part, and like I still feel like kind of cheated by Hasbro because that could have been something else that was brand new.
I mean, you could say the
But-
same about the Seekers and Optimus and
Blue
Megatron.
Streak.
Well, yeah, but in this particular case, I can see a rationale behind it, sort of.
Well,
depending-
they're doing it to sell it better. I know what you're going to talk about. How
Yeah,
the
he was a
first one
select
exclusive.
before.
Yeah, I was
One
gonna
is
say.
two
Yeah,
opposites
they're doing
are
that on
different.
purpose for sure. Where they're doing, which I mean is how you'd want to do it. Yeah, just from a standpoint of selling stuff, it's like, yes, they're taking the exclusive one and they're making that one, well, one of the exclusive ones, and making that the main line. Meanwhile, they'll probably take one of the ones that was mainline in Siege and turn that into an exclusive, whether that be Barricade or Prowl.
I hope it's Barricade. My theory will just go out the
I think it
window.
could be
Prowl or Blue Streak, because while they have weird alt modes, they do look like their G1 show model, while Smokescreen looks like the G2 show model. Or if you'd rather just have the Datsuns be the same shape, you can just go and get the Siege Smokescreen.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I can justify it. I'm not happy, but I can justify it enough. I'm
question.
happy with the EarthRise Megatron. That still pisses me off.
One of the questions I have, since we're talking about like remakes and whatnot, do
Yeah.
you think they'll remake Sideswipe? I don't think they will because
I don't think they will.
Sunstreaker works.
I don't think
like, his
they
alt mod
will
looks like it
until
works well enough.
maybe the third.
I
I
don't.
still don't think it's likely because of how they did Sunstreaker specifically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sunstreaker
Terrible.
looks so much like a Siege
Did
figure
you
that
say
it's just kind of like.
Sidestreaker?
Did I say Sidestreaker? I
thought
meant
you did.
Sunstreaker.
Maybe I heard wrong.
I'm like losing it, man. Sunstreaker looks enough like a Siege figure to just say it works. You know what I mean?
I'm very curious how I'll feel about Sunstreaker when he comes out.
Yeah, like
I'm-
some of these figures are just I don't know. They could work in either line, so it gets to a point for me where I'm like, It's almost like what was the point of putting some of these in certain ones? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like how we were saying with like certain ones being in Siege and certain ones in EarthRise and whatnot. Like RC would have made sense for Siege. Her alt mode is very
Yeah,
like
it's
futuristic
Cybertronian.
and alien.
RC would have made more sense for Siege than like Sideswipe, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
He's kind of
Skylinks.
futuristic, but he's not really Cybertronian.
And like Skylinks would have been good. Like these characters that have alt modes that wouldn't really exist on Earth.
I mean, Well, what do you mean Skylinks?
I mean-
Skylinks is half.
It's an
half
Earth
completely
spaceship.
in
It is a
Earth, yeah.
licensed spaceship.
Well, like if they, but like
Meanwhile,
what I mean is like
Jetfire
they could have
isn't.
made like a space shuttle for like Cybertron. You get what I mean?
Well, yeah,
like-
but I mean, they did Jetfire, who is also
That's true.
a Cybertronian.
And
so.
he is based on an Earth jet, but how the cartoon drew him because of copyright, it's a little.
Exactly, it's not
Ooh,
really. Yeah, it's
rough
not exactly
with that.
Earth
But like Ironworks could have been someone who could have worked in Siege. Like, you know what I mean? There are just certain figures that like their alt modes are either futuristic and alien enough, or just aren't necessarily specific to one area that could have worked.
Well, again, it's because they plotted this out as a trilogy, and this is the first time we're getting a trilogy that was plotted out as a trilogy, so they're more looking at where the characters are going to show up. Well, I mean, that's not even a joke. They literally, when they started Combiner Wars, that wasn't intended to be part of a trilogy. That just happened to happen.
Where are they going to be in space that they're going to find a crane? Like, Ironworks is like, hey guys, I'm going to do construction on this planet.
Hey, you know what? Bulkhead was in charge of construction on Cybertron, right? You know, they gotta have cranes there. No, but like, they're thinking about where they're placing the characters rather than
I get it.
Their alt modes is the thing.
I
don't know. I will have to say, though, do you guys prefer EarthRise or Siege at this point?
At this moment, I don't have enough EarthRise figures to say.
Right.
I have exactly one EarthRise figure, so.
But how do you feel about EarthRise versus just not even necessarily from owning the toys, but just like the one based off the few you have and what we're seeing? Do you like the direction a little bit more or less? Because we've talked about the differences.
I don't know. It feels like it just feels like a continuation to me. It doesn't really feel like this line.
And like there are certain characters that I can just put next to each other and feel like I'm playing with the same line. Like if I put Spinister next to Grapple and mess with them both, I'm gonna feel like it's the same line.
Other than
I think to an extent the line divisions are arbitrary, because what they're really doing is instead of
battle damage.
It's an aesthetic change, not a
small aesthetic changes, yes, but overall the feel more so than the Prime Wars trilogy. There's a greater.
I was gonna say because the Prime Wars trilogy got tied in together in the 3rd chapter, but it was sort of like, Power of the Primes is kind of like the Rise of Skywalker. Like, do you understand what I mean? Like,
I get what you mean.
I'm not wrong.
Well, here's a question though. I'm just curious as to what your opinions are on this. If Prime Wars trilogy, let's say, had been planned out with those gimmicks being for separate lines and whatnot, but still going through, do you think that something like that could work for this? Because honestly, like when you give me a new version of a character, like with Megatron and Optimus and Starscream, and they're all basically the same line, like there's hard to tell a difference, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like them to have something that makes them really different, you know what I mean?
Like how every Optimus Prime in that trilogy was like entirely different.
Exactly. It's like if you're going to give me a different version, make me feel like I'm spending money on a different version.
Oh yeah. And I would say if they had planned that out from the beginning, I think there could have been greater cohesion in the designs. Yes. But this kind of works out if you're going for it's certainly kind of a G1 with
Prime
joints.
Wars, exactly. The Prime Wars trilogy was just they had a third part that tied together 2 separate toy lines that they did, whereas this is not 3 different toy lines that are getting tied together. It is 1 toy line with 3 chapters.
But
it's like if
do you
you're
get what I
reading
mean,
a book,
though?
it's like the chapter's not the next chapter is still going to be part of the same book. It's still the same stuff. It's just, you know.
Yeah, but we're talking toys though. We're talking like we're spending money on physical objects here. They gotta feel different. Like that's what I mean. It's like there are certain toy lines where that works.
You say they gotta, but like, how many people are gonna buy? How many people bought Siege Prime are gonna buy?
You know, Hasbro has made suckers out of many people over the years, but like. I like what I'm saying is like it works for some toy lines and it doesn't. Like with the NECA stuff, like they have all the Turtles lines. It's like if I was super into Turtles, I'd probably buy all the different lines because it has all the different versions of them. But when it comes to Transformers, it's like an aesthetic change doesn't really do anything because a lot of the characters look the same in most series anyways. You have to give me something different internally.
Well, but that's kind of like the antithesis to what this team is.
Which
that's not what
I don't
about.
think is a good thing, personally.
Neither do I, but that's more of a brand thing than a toy line thing for me.
At the same time, how many characters within the grand scheme of the trilogy are they going to do those repeats on.
That is true.
That is
At
the
the bare
concern.
minimum, it's going to be the like Starscream
gonna
Optimus
say-
Megatron.
Yeah,
And the
Prime,
Dotsons.
Yeah, I was gonna say Prime Megatron's the Seekers and the Autobot Seekers. You know, the
Even then, going into the third series,
we're probably gonna get
can-
another Optimus.
but that's the thing. It's like going forward. It's like depending on if where our kind of thinking is that it's going to be okay. Late G1, it's like, I guess you do Power Master Prime again.
It's like at that point though, do I? And like this is the thing for me, as
Oh,
someone
God.
who only likes to own really one version of a character at a time, simply just for money's sake. Do I wait to get an Optimus Prime till the third one comes out? Like that's the thing for someone like me, because and that's also why I talk about the different components for different lines. It's like if they don't feel different and they don't look that different, it's going to be like I at this point I'm like, do I just wait? You know what I mean?
And the other one thing I'll say is that the advantage there is that waiting probably won't end up with you spending a ton on Prime, just because in the now almost like 6 years at this point, leaders tend to be things that stay around. It's the smaller size classes that and anywhere up to the Voyagers tend to be the things that once they disappear, it becomes like impossible to find.
Yeah. The only things
and-
like I'm really probably going to go for are the deluxes, like without question.
And then at the end of the day, it's like you like, it's not like anyone has a gun to your head. It's like you have to buy the entire line.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
yeah,
like, as
but-
someone who is like invested into this franchise, is like, I'm on a fucking podcast about it, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like I want to be able to figure out where I should put my money. You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you should
no,
want to
no,
be
I-
able to look at this toy and be like, "Oh yeah, I want this toy," and it's
Yeah,
not.
but
gonna
it's
be
so similar to the-
It's not going to be obsolete in a year.
and
Which
it's
I
so
feel like is
similar
how
to the
people feel
last
about the
one.
Siege one. Yeah, no, I understand.
But
I
yeah.
understand that for sure. But like I said, that's just kind of how the brand is as a whole
Yeah,
right
which
now.
I don't
That's
really
not
want.
even
Like-
just a specific Earthrise to Siege thing. That's, I mean, Earthrise to Siege is it is an outlet of where that coming out. But like I said, that's kind of a brand thing. Also, whose microphone is being stupid?
Someone's
I-
breathing into the microphone.
I can hear it, so it's not fine.
I blame
Jared.
Jared. That's just, yes.
Did we all just
I think
blame
it was
Jared at the
me.
same time?
Yeah.
At the
Even
end of
I
the day,
blamed me. I think.
I think this and it's a bit like a lot of these conversations always kind of circle back to the whole thing of how
Generations isn't generations.
well, not even just generations isn't generations.
I
It's
know.
the fact that and it's kind of odd to think about, but all of us grew up in a time that at this point was a very odd time for Transformers, in the fact that what an Optimus Prime or a Megatron or a Starscream looked like
Isn't as defined as it was.
it wasn't
back
defined.
Then,
It was wild.
yeah.
That's
it's
something
very
that
fluid.
we all grew up, depending on which incarnation was our first one or the one we carried on with. It was something that by the end of by the mid 2010s, kind of going into the late 2010s, it was something that they kind of held back on. And they're like, okay, no, we have to now really define what Optimus, Starscream, Megatron look like, and consistently hit that to both meet the whole nostalgia demand from people who grew up with the show in the 80s, but also this whole thing of like them kind of reining things in to be like, well, Superman always kind of looks the same. Batman always kind of looks the same. Why shouldn't Mirage?
But the thing
and
about
Hal-
them is that they have their household names, and it's like they
Okay,
can
so
change
is
if they're
Op-
looking.
so
for
is
stuff.
Optimus. So is
That's
Optimus
my
Prime.
point, though. That's my point, though. Optimus Prime and Megatron and Starscream are household names, and Bumblebee is now too. You can change up the look of
Bumblebee is
them, and
more than
people will.
Megatron and Starscream are, even maybe
You get what I
compared
mean,
to
though.
Optimus.
But like,
Yeah.
people will still buy them because of name recognition. That's why Hasbro can get away with selling so many different versions of Iron Man. Like, because people will buy it because it's Iron Man. Like,
Yes, but here's the thing: the design team are '80s kids who
Yes.
want to recreate
Yeah. Well,
their childhood,
and-
and they're making the money where they can. They aren't failing, so they can do this, even if
Yeah,
it's
no,
not the right
I-
call. they are the ones in the position to do so, and they're successful enough that they can continue to do so.
The question is, when our generation becomes the toy designers, how different will it be?
Radically,
it depends,
but also that just depends
well,
on how the health of the brand is at that point.
Yeah, that is
also what the corporate mandate is. It's like,
Yep.
okay,
Yeah.
like you have these evergreen designs. Do you like? It's one of those things where I think a push that needs to happen is if you have a character who has or you have an incarnation of a character that you very much hold on to near, like dear to your heart, but God forbid they have a legacy character's name, they need to be named something else.
Yeah.
They need a new name in order to survive.
I think the main thing that has changed is that Transformers is no longer a thing where they're like, how can we make this work? It's a thing where they're just like trying out different stuff. It's more like, this is one of our top brands. We need to maintain it. I think that's how their attitude has changed.
They have
Yeah.
they've it's the whole thing where they've taken all of the entire franchise and they have those now set up internal Bibles where they have, okay, this is what Hound looks like. This is what, and I'm focusing on those lower tier characters because like Optimus, Megatron, like Megatron for a while kind of went very loosey goosey, and I think
the only one who has even more than Megatron would be maybe Starscream, but like still those two in general.
No, Starscream was pretty because I think specifically to like the Unicron trilogy and even like the first movie. If you tried to tell me, okay, what does Optimus look like? All the Optimuses kind of look the same as far as their heads.
Yeah.
Megatron doesn't look anything like him. Like between all of
compare Energon Megatron to Armada and Cybertron Megatron.
None of them look the same. None of them look like quote unquote Megatron.
In which Starscream.
Starscream looks the same.
Starscream.
I think he's had more iteration changes recently than the rest. Like Prime Starscream is a big variation.
Prime Starscream is the outlier, but everyone else pretty much has the same thing where you have side vents on the head. He's got the cockpit on his chest.
Which technically Prime Starscream does have the side vents on the head.
Here's a
very different.
I know.
I get you mean.
Question though. Here's like a follow-up question on what I said about like when our generation takes over, depending on how good the brand is. Do you think so? And we talked about like how the corporate will mandate certain stuff, probably. But do you think like the random scraps they throw in there will be different? Because like they threw in like Galaxy Force Optimus Prime, and like they did Hot Shot. Do you think that when we're doing that stuff, like our generation is doing that, if the brand is still there, if the scraps that we throw out will be different? Like, do you think like the little like you get what I mean? Like, because it feels like scraps at the table. Let's be honest.
I would think that eventually, like Beast Wars definitely would be the next thing. Like that. I mean, with all the stuff about the movie, like possibly happening, I would say Beast Wars would be the thing. Like, it's gonna take its time, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But
I think we'll get a big picture change, and not in terms of like. I don't think that we're going to end up where it's like every character looks brand new, but I think it's more like, I think at a certain point, once we get past this, we will go to a place where Generations is what it was and what it should be in my mind.
Generations?
Yeah, it will actually be a generation. So I think that we'll be taking a lot of the engineering and the stuff, the way they are making the toys right now, I think is something that is going to last. But I think that the creative direction is going to be more of a combination. And it also just totally depends on the future shows, I think, too. Because the thing is, like, we've fallen into a place where everything is supporting each other because it's all the same. Like, Cyberverse is just the kids' version of G1 almost. In terms of character designs, they look similar enough that you can interchange them with the Siege and the EarthRise and stuff, and it's not a big deal to like kids. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they look the exact same, but I'm saying that like if we got a new thing that is like animated or a new thing that is like Beast Wars, like that's going to be different enough where it's like, okay, it's not the same, so we can have more variation in this line that isn't really a media supported line at the moment.
Yeah. And the thing is as well. Oh, sorry.
No, the thing I wanted to just jump on that is the fact that because I think we're there's like two things we're talking about right here, just to like, so there's the whole thing of like pulling in deep cuts or even just homaging stuff that isn't G1, and then there's the whole thing of like making a new version of like making new versions of the classic characters, like revamping them and whatnot, stuff that we saw from RID 2001 all through Prime, let's say. And Cyberverse is a good example of something where you had a lot of the writing staff who were younger, who grew up with Beast Wars.
And we got Cheetor.
And then you have those cuts, or people who watched Beast Wars as a kid, then more recently got hooked on More Than Meets the Eye or any of the other IDW stuff. And so you had those like, okay, here's the like brand teams like stipulation of, well, you got to have all the G1 guys, and then you had, as the show got on, deep cuts of like, here's Fusors, here's stuff from IDW, here's
completely original characters that we never thought we were going to get in this show.
Here's some of the original
that's
stuff,
my
and so
thing,
you start seeing that there's that, and I think that is where it's going to be, of where you have this kind of, it's essentially you have this kind of like evergreen mythos, like the Binder of Revelation, whatever like core brand
The Binder
book you
of
have.
Revelation.
That's what they call it, and then they spend so much money on it, it just sits at the bottom of a desk collecting dust.
It'll be that thing where you layer on top of that all of that stuff that came afterwards. So you put on the Beast Wars guys, you put on like eventually, and this is the thing going back to what I said before, of needing to rename some of those.
You need to make them separate characters.
And that's assuming that they ever decide, okay, we're gonna call RID Optimus something else, so we can have RID Optimus hanging out with G1 Optimus. I don't think they ever will.
My thing is also this. I was going to say this a second ago when we were talking about like the media stuff, is I think a major way that the next couple lines will go is also going to depend heavily on how this Netflix series does, because the last one no one liked. And I think if this one goes...
That wasn't a Netflix series, but I know what you're talking about.
But my thing is, if this one goes bad too, I think they might relook at how they're planning things out.
Well, I would say that this media is super supplemental to the toy line, and that the toy line is first and foremost. So I would say that this media, just like the Prime Wars trilogy, doesn't really matter how it does.
I feel like the guiding, really, for future incarnations, the guiding thing is going to be whatever the next movie is, because if you look at Cyberverse, a lot of what kind of steered Cyberverse, especially for season one, was
Bumblebee,
the Bumblebee movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And then another thing that kind of then softly carried it through was the fact that Bumblebee movie very heavily inspired by Generation 1.
Yeah.
Seasons 2 and 3 of Cyberverse feel almost like, oh, what if we continued G1 after season 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the movie didn't happen. So it's almost like G1 if the movie didn't happen.
Yeah.
Everyone's still alive, and then you get to a point where the Quintessons show up.
No one's dead yet.
I also think that another thing that could be very key in shaping how the franchise goes forward is video games. Because, like,
if we get any,
that's the thing, is I think we really need one, because I think that they've been
not the video game that they announced.
What video game did they announce again?
If it's the one that they showed off around Toy Fair, that one's tying into Cyberverse.
There was a video game coming out.
That is right. I forgot about that. But I mean,
it's like a mobile game, right?
Because, like, is it a mobile game?
No, it's a console game, but it looks like a mobile game.
So few of the actual mobile games last. I'm surprised Forged to Fight and Earth Wars are still around.
Like, okay, but the thing is, like, I'm not counting, like, I love Devastation, but I'm not even counting Devastation because that was low. There wasn't anything really supporting that. I'm talking about the times where, like, we had a Fall of Cybertron toy line, like the War for Cybertron. You know what I mean? Like, that was a specific aesthetic. There was a story. There's a lot more support. That kind of stuff. Where I think we need that.
I think one of the things that's interesting right now is that we're in a point, because now Cyberverse is going away.
Yeah.
We're in this point where there's really no flagship media on the
No,
horizon.
because we don't know when the next movie's going to be, or more importantly, what it's going to be. Which
or the
I would
next
say-
TV show.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the movies are the biggest part of the franchise in recent history. But in terms of far-reaching media, that is the furthest-reaching media by far. More
We
people
are
see
getting the G.I.
Transformers
Joe movie
movies
at the end
than
of the
they
year,
will
so-
ever see Transformers shows. That's never going to change. So, that's, I think, the most important, and we don't know. So it's like, what's the next most important thing? The show, which this show just ended. We don't know what's next at all.
Right, and I think and it may be another thing of whatever the next movie is, the show piggybacks on, or the movie and the show go into, like, we're in this thing right now where it's like, okay,
We have options, but like, what direction are we going to go? We don't know.
We almost might be in the same situation we were back when the 07 movie came out and animated came out.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to diverge like they did in 07, or are we going to do a thing like Prime and the movies afterward did, where it's like, they piggyback off of each other?
I was going to say, yeah, they're similar vibes. They're not the same, but they vibe the same. Yeah, and that's what I don't know. I really want to know soon the direction that we're going, because I think honestly the biggest thing in the franchise right now is EarthRise, is Generations, at least from a perspective of what's going forward, because that's
I think we just need something we don't expect.
That's the only thing that we know of going forward, really, is that, like, we're going to keep getting Generations. And so I think it's a weird place to be at, because that's, yeah, we're in a pre-07. I think that's the biggest indication that we're in a pre-07 kind of state of the franchise, is because it's like, yeah, we're getting like G1 redone, and that's the main thing, but it cannot be.
It's late 06, early 07 again, even with the same Starscream mold.
I do think we need I do think we need something we don't expect. I think when it comes to this franchise, things we don't expect are the best things. Like, no one expected them to no one expected Viz to get the license and publish the Transformers manga in America. But like, most people, or like a lot of people in the fandom, were scrambling for it. I think we just need something like,
I'm gonna
like,
be
that's an
real,
odd
that-
out there
that-
thing. But
that,
I think we
like,
need something we
doesn't
don't
matter.
expect.
That doesn't matter on a franchise level, like, in the
But I'm-
slightest.
but what I'm
But
saying
no,
is
no,
it-
I understand, like, what you're talking
it's the
about.
mentality of it. It's like something we didn't expect, and we got it, and like, people wanted it. So I think if we get something we don't expect,
that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for something that we don't expect, but I'm worried that the main thing that we have right now is going to become more of the main thing in general, where it's like Bumblebee leaned into G1 more, Cyberverse leaned into G1 more, and it's like, I like both of those things.
predictable, which is the worst thing for a toy line to do.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to know what the next chapter of Transformers is.
Yeah, because ideally it is something we're on the, like, at the forefront of it. So whatever on the media side of things, it is something that's fresh and new. And then on the back end, you have stuff that just keeps honing into the, like, deep cuts and, like, real deep cuts, because, like, going off of the manga translation for one, but also then Generation Selects, where we're getting, like, here's Shockwave at retail, essentially.
Nightbird and
I think they could do with making more, though, to be honest. I think Select should have more to it than, like, one every, like, I don't know how many months.
I mean, they did 9 in a single year, and that was.
I mean,
initially
for their first year, they did pretty, like, to also, like, factor in the fact that was their first year of Select stuff. Like,
that is true. It was the first year.
Yeah, and from my understanding with the leaked listings, we are going to get the same amount, if not a couple more than last year.
Same amount, if not more. And then if the Clone 2-pack is just a re-release, it's them also listening in the terms of, here's something that was hard to get in a more easier fashion.
I'm really hoping that it isn't just a re-release. I mean, I wouldn't be. I should preface it with I won't be disappointed. I'll just be like,
why would you remake them?
Okay, but, like, why would you remake a lot of the characters we're getting now?
I mean, here's
those two specifically, because it's like you just made 2 versions, and what differences are you really?
I mean, here's a question. Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was done. Go.
Oh, I was gonna say, what Earthrise selects would you like to see? Like, because I'd honestly like to see if they did like out of Sunstreaker and like Sideswipe, like for this era, like do like Tiger Track or like Deep Cover and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Since they did Shockwave, like if they really want
I
to go for
want
the deep cuts,
blue streak right now.
that would
I'm
be
tired of
as
waiting
well.
for my blue streak.
Sunstreaker mold.
What did you say?
A lockdown using the Sunstreaker mold.
I would
That's the
absolutely
one
take
everyone wants.
that. Really? I haven't heard anyone say that.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
I mean, I like don't disagree, but like
Wheeljack.
Sunstreak and Wheeljack are the same one, the
Exhaust.
same mold. So.
Exhaust would be a good one.
I want exhaust. Give me exhaust.
I mean,
Although
exhaust is
I want more.
basically confirmed, and I think it's going to be a main line.
I want
Yeah.
Exhaust?
more.
Yeah.
Cybertron.
My
hot
boy.
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, exhaust.
Well,
There's
there's an-
listings for exhaust.
If you haven't figured it out, that TFCon I just became like an exhaust fanboy because I got the
Yeah,
figures
you just
I
went
wanted and I'm like,
weird.
I love it.
No, but
you
like
support Big Tobacco.
I don't. hey now, hey. That's not very all-star of you.
No, but that's the thing is like, I do want these like G1 deep cut selects, but at the same time, it's like I want more, not literally the
Well,
character,
yeah.
but like I want more Cybertron defense hotshots. Like
Well,
not in terms of like I literally want more Cybertron.
See,
You know what I
see,
mean?
I
part
would
of
like
me,
if they were a little more different if they were to do
No.
Cybertron.
part of me almost feels like I'm kind of in the boat of like, if you're gonna go halfway, just don't bother.
Yeah, like
I don't
like
know.
with that.
I
think
understand
double-
that mentality, but at the same time, it's like I still like it's still
Only
even if it's
I mean,
half fresh, it's still more fresh.
I think one of the things too is the fact that as you get further along in the history of the brand, you reach especially like Cybertron, I think is a good example of there's a lot of stuff that modern toys, if you were to like revisit those characters, you're probably not going to end up with something that's half like I don't want to say objectively, but I guess objectively half as good as the like sure like getting G1 with knees I think is easier than getting Cybertron with knees. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It's like, I mean, I look at it like this. I think they could have given Hotshot like shoulder cannons. Like they could have gave him 2 cannons to put on his shoulders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I honestly don't know why they didn't do that beyond.
But we
It's
might
probably
see
because
more,
of the way mold stuff works. Really.
yeah, we might also see more of an allocation of resources to to the selects line this year, considering how well it did last year.
Look, there's
See, I think well just
maybe,
another
but
thing. Just
Selects
thinking,
is a very small crowd. I still think.
You get what I mean though. Like we could see slightly more work put into it.
I don't
considering
disagree. I don't disagree with that either. I think Selects has been them basically replacing BotCon, and it's been more successful in almost every way.
they should
Yeah.
make.
And I think that's how we should view it
taller.
too, not as like oh, they need to do like new figures. Like that's not what
Yeah.
like Selects is exactly what it's like. That is just what it's
it's
supposed to be.
it's their channel when it's like, okay, we have redecos or retools we want to do.
But it
Yeah.
just cannot be mainline supported. And
They
it's like,
can't-
this
yeah,
is
they
do
can't-
Hauler,
this is how we
man.
can get it out.
They should do Holler.
Hauler would be an easy and simple one, and people would buy him because his figure is impossible to get.
Yep.
Like, just do a ton of the e-hobby repaints. People would buy the hell out of those.
No, it's one of those things where it's like they're like to steal someone's phrase, they're leaving money on the table when they're not doing like I look at all of the a bunch of the redecos that the Masterpiece line has, and I'm like, they should just have done a bunch of these at this point. Deep
Yeah.
cover,
Yeah.
Delta Magnus.
Yeah, especially
Um,
Delta Magnus.
What if they did? What if they did like selects of like older line figures though, like from within the past few years? You get what I mean?
Wait,
Do you
what?
think they
What
would
do you
ever
mean?
do that?
Like,
Like
I
if they
think-
took like if they took
Saltman
figures.
Z out of Topspin, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like do you think
Okay.
they would ever do something like that?
I
Oh,
feel
I
like that
don't-
would be that's right up the alley of like the Platinum line, if the Platinum line still ran, because
Yeah.
and like because I feel like at some point there's certain, especially now, like I feel like there's certain, like, unless it's within the trilogy, I feel like it's more difficult for them to kind of reach out to that point unless
I got you.
unless it was like a story. Like that's something that, like, if a store was like, oh yeah, do an exclusive, it's like, okay, we'll pull out an old mold.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, go. What you just said just made me think of. There's two things that I want to. The two main points I want to hit, but before I forget them, the main one just goes off of what you were just talking about. I think now is a time where we can start, because like we have G1 reissues right now. We should start reissuing other toy lines, like Beast, that we can. I understand that not all the molds, like not everything is able to. That's not able to be done for everything.
I'm scared if they start doing if they start doing that more, I'd be scared.
Why would you be scared?
Because of Omega Prime.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Granted, they ran that mold to hell before they did the Encore, but
and again, like I'm thinking that it should be done. Like I said, if it's going to be done, it should be done well. But still,
also,
like, yes, I think
another
that
thing.
I think that we're at a point where G1 isn't the only toy line that can be. Oh wait, no, I just turned my volume down so I can't hear if anyone's talking.
No, we can hear you.
Okay,
or at least
good.
the other thing I just want to like focus on that is that with the G1 reissues, I think one of the things that's a bit easier to stomach with the price increases is the fact that the time between like when those toys were at retail and them now, it's like, oh well, they've increased in value, this and that. Yeah. If you reissue Deluxe Cheetor from 1996 and you're like, you got to pay $40, people
Deluxe
would go
Cheetor reissue.
Because think, in 2006 Cheetor was $20.
Yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like if people are willing to pay, I think there are still going to be people like, by no means do I think that should be a main source of income for the brand or anything, but it's like, I think that you will get some people that will, like, I think that there is a market for that more than there was before. Even if they are overpriced.
But is there? Because in some of those cases, it might be cheaper just to buy the vintage one off of like eBay.
I mean, I think they should reissue like figures we never got in America.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we should just
if they have the
reissue
molds.
every old toy. Oh, but the other thing, I want to touch on is, I personally think, just because we've been talking about big picture stuff with the brand, that the next thing that should be done, and I don't think it's what's going to be done, and I understand why, because it's something that they're always going to be scared to do, is a new cast. As in, like, not like, oh, let's radically reimagine the cast. I'm talking like mainly new characters. Like, basically, Beast Wars. But I don't think we're going to get that. Because it's not, yeah, exactly. It's more like
You
Beast
want my
Wars
honest
than it would be
opinion?
like
I don't
anime.
think we'll ever get that again.
I don't think we will either, but I think that we should, and I think that the perfect way to do that, wouldn't even necessarily, I'm not even talking like from a movie, and I think it could and should be done at a TV standpoint, but like a video game would be our best bet of doing that, where it's like we get, was it a video game that they talked about with, that was it the last Autobot, the Ironhide with the, like the Magnus Hammer? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I do. I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the exact.
Was that
Wasn't the
supposed to
last
be- was that
Autobot a comic?
Was that supposed to be a no? This is something that, what's his name? Rick Alvarez, is that his name?
Yeah.
That he talked about, something that they kicked around, the idea of, was that supposed to be a comic or a video game or a show? Do you remember?
One of
Probably
the
a
three.
comic.
Transformers Universe, the game?
No, it was. I remember. I know it was. Yeah, it was something where it was. No, I think it was a game. It was a game,
I think
and
it was a
like,
video game. It's like
it was almost
basically
like-
it's past G1. Like everyone, the entire cast is dead. Ironhide's the only one left. and
Yeah,
he's, like, giant
it's
Like,
basically-
war.
what if-
Oh.
So like what they hinted at the comic with him before they ended up killing him.
kind of. Yeah, it would have been a thing of where it's like, yeah, far in the future, everyone's dead except Ironhide, and he's got.
Yeah,
the
it's like the
Magnus
leader of the Decepticons is a brand new female character. It's like all this other, it's like, yeah, where it's essentially, it's like, oh, like, you like the Legend of Korra, the Last Airbender is
I got
almost
you.
kind of like what it would be.
There's remnants
Perfection
of
to
the past,
garbage. Yes.
but perfection the garbage. I what was I gonna say? I think personally, I don't think we're gonna see another console video game from Transformers for quite a while. At least
the main point is like the refocusing, not so much the game. Although I don't.
no,
I
I'm
get
just
the
saying in
game.
general. Like, I don't think we'll see games for a while.
We're getting a game this year.
I meant good ones.
Well, okay.
Like, because the War for Cybertron duo, I don't even count as a trilogy. Rise of the Darkspark's garbage, were great games. Devastation, great game, but like everything else they've tried has just kind of like fallen by the wayside. You get what I mean?
Yeah, it's none of it's really set up to be like this. Like none of it's really set up. It's like, oh, this game, the game franchise arm is going to stand on its own.
They had chances to do it though. They had that
That's the thing,
Transformers
yeah, that's
Online
like-
thing in China. Transformers Universe was a pretty good game. They just didn't put enough into them to make them bigger.
I mean, honestly, the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron were their own branch that had their own toy line supporting them.
And people still play those games.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like they're so good, and I wish that they would go back to having something like that where it's a firmer part of the franchise, but I think that
Well,
we've just kind of moved out of
People
that.
still make mods
like
for
that.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think one, like they moved out of that to the fact that you had they were introduced in a weird period because that year, that was post
See,
Revenge
the
of the
thing
Fallen.
is,
that
we're in a weird year too. I'm just saying.
right. No, this would be another opportunity for something like that to happen. I don't think
Yeah.
it will.
Yeah.
Just because also we things have kind of doubled down on like, oh no, we gotta thread the whole thing with hardcore nostalgia and everything, where it's
Yeah.
and just, or it's like that's what they've been doing this whole time, but then they're also, I think, hopefully feeling that people are tired of it.
Yeah.
Like
I
at some
don't-
point, it's like
Yeah.
you can only remake Optimus Prime as Voyager so many times before it's like you like now with the EarthRise leader, it's like you can't get better.
Yeah. And it's
Until
like-
they do the generation, the whatchamacallit trilogy. What's the trilogy called again? War for Cybertron. The War for Cybertron. I still can't believe that's what this trilogy is called. The third part, when we get an Optimus Prime that has redone legs.
or they're just gonna make him like he's gonna take the place that like what's the one above leader? The like $80
Commander.
figure. It's just gonna be a giant Optimus Prime.
No, it would be.
Do a Commander Power Master Prime. That would
I was
be
just about to say
amazing.
that's probably what they're going to do next year.
They
A Commander
should.
class Power
I would
Master.
buy that.
I'm
'Cause it
still
only-
waiting for a Star Saber figure.
It only makes sense
Keep
for
on waiting.
Prime. The next one has to be Power. It doesn't make any other sense but to make
well,
Power.
they could do like the G2 mold.
Ugh.
I mean,
Laser
I
Prime?
think, yeah. They,
I
that
get that.
now.
Yeah, they
Wait,
do
what?
Scourge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is they could do Scourge and like Toxitron. You know what I mean? Like,
That would be
Yeah.
cool though.
oh yeah, no, I don't get me wrong. I think that's something that will happen within at least 3. I can't see it taking more than.
They
3 or
defy all
3 years.
expectations and they do Action Master Optimus with his big truck.
He doesn't transform.
Oh my god!
It's the Siege Voyager, but now they've removed all the vehicle kibble.
No, they just take the reaction figure and grow it. Like they like
Good grief.
No, what if they
totally
did
wings
do
it.
like? What if they did like an Action Master line that was like Marvel Legends Black Series, like that, like 6-inch with all that articulation and stuff, or like
mean,
I would say
I mean-
a Lightning Collection articulation, and it's just.
He's so cool.
I mean, you could do that fine as long as that's not like, yeah, this is the next generation.
Oh no! Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a side thing that would be neat. I don't think that they should do it. And if they did do it, it's like, yeah, that has to be a side thing. That can't
then the
be.
question-
I mean,
also
they tried it. They tried it in 2007. It didn't work.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm
Also
saying.
becomes,
It's like,
who's going to be the Titan after Scorponok? Have people thought about that for the third wave?
Metroplex V2.
we've speculated that it could be Metroplex version 2 or a pre-tool for Metroplex, if it was like
Or
Metro
they
Titan.
just make a new Fort Max and fix him.
Well,
well,
they
I-
had fixed Metroplex first.
I was
I
going
would
to say,
feel like
yeah,
that- yeah.
they fixed
Yeah.
Metroplex before
John
they
Ward,
fixed.
John
Most
Warden
of
worked on
Max is
on
fault for
Max. He did-
Metroplex.
Um,
like, who else could it be? Like, what other
I mean,
like?
what's the undead Titan? Because he's been. I remember Sean
Metro
on
Titan.
Twitter. He was mentioning.
Metro Titan?
Oh yeah, that is Metro, but that's
Oh.
not the same Metro.
They
you know what
already
I mean?
did
Like-
Metro Titan.
What?
What?
They did Metro Titan.
No, they.
There was a
No.
recolor of Metroplex that was Metro Titan.
No, there wasn't.
Oh.
Yes.
The only
No,
the only
there
redeco of
was
Metroplex was the one with the chromed thighs.
Are you
Aaron,
talking about
go
Brave
look it up.
Maximus?
Yeah, they did
Oh
Brave
yeah, I'm thinking of
Max.
Brave Maximus.
No,
Yeah.
no,
okay.
yeah, Metro Titan.
Octopunch all over again.
No, yeah.
Hey,
Fun.
hey, they are the same color scheme. Can you really blame me for mixing them up, considering they're the
No.
same color scheme and the same mold?
No.
This is different.
No, but Metro Titan I think could be. But also, what's the brown one that's?
I don't
'cause
want
that-
a giant
What?
brown turd
the
Metroplex.
zombie Titan. The zombie Titan.
The Necro Titan?
Yes, the
Which
Necro
was the-
Titan. That's the
I-
thing
which
is like
was
because I'm just
Metro
saying
Titan.
I don't want to spoil.
Oh, no. Sorry.
I don't want to spoil anything, but it has shown up in media again. So I'm not saying that, which I mean, isn't to a level where it's like, oh, it deserves a Titan spot.
It was
I'm
in the
just saying-
comics.
Nope, it's been in media more recently than that.
Oh, it was in
kind of.
Cyber. Ooh.
Yeah, that's why I don't really want to
I
talk
got-
spoilers.
I mean,
or
just
anything.
saying that pretty much.
You don't understand how or why. I mean, but
All right.
Well, I mean,
I would think Metro Titan would be more likely than the Necro Titan.
I agree.
And regardless, I feel like if also just to get
Well, actually, you might not have a bad idea there, because the Necro Titan's real name is Quintessa and was the Titan of Quintus Prime. That could tie
Okay.
into the line perfectly with the Quintessons.
but we only got that info at the last page of details, the very last issue.
But
And I mean,
still,
that is canon. That is canon. I'm not.
it's just Transformers. They'll grasp at anything to make something.
I feel like
yeah,
it'd be
but
Metroplex too.
but at a Titan price point, I do see that it's a lot less, because that's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
That's
it's
true.
gotta-
gotta- It's got to be someone who showed up in the 80s
Oh God.
on TV.
unless they give us a curveball and give us Cybertron Metroplex.
I would be mad.
You'd be
What if-
mad?
What if? And here's the
Look,
thought:
I don't care.
they give us a Prime. They just give us Primus, like a Titan.
Oh.
class
I don't think they
Primus.
can do that
No.
because of how they did Unicron.
Yeah.
Oh, bad.
That's the thing. It's off the table now. Because before they would have been yeah, Unicron or Primus is next, but they're both off the table at this
Gosh.
point.
Unicron's
wait.
bigger than Primus. He always
Wait.
has been.
Wait 2 or 3 oh god, what's it called?
You-
HasLab crowd funds, and they're
I
gonna
mean-
do.
Let me put it like this: if they make a HasLab Primus, I'm not getting it because they didn't get HasLab Unicron.
Aaron,
That's fine.
technically you're wrong because the Armada Unicron had to be smaller than Cybertron / Primus because it was one of Cybertron's moons for millions of years.
But Primus,
Armada's not canon.
I was gonna say,
Primus-
yeah, that's not
Primus,
the
the
continuity.
G1 cartoon, is built into Cybertron, and Cybertron is the
But
size
would
of
they
Earth's
use a different
moon.
design than the Cybertron Primus design?
We're combining continuities here. Transformers loves to do that. Okay, you've got
Fair.
Cybertron's the size of a moon, and in the movie, Unicron crushes a whole section of it with his bare hands. So you could technically make Unicron bigger than Cybertron if you throw together some continuities.
Unicron also stands on Cybertron later
Exactly.
in that same movie.
So size is also not consistent because
You know what?
What
Then
was-
why does it care if the figure of Primus is smaller than the figure of Unicron?
Because they're a pair, and their robot modes are what matter.
Not so
in
much
terms of
size as
scale.
far as complex and density that I'm concerned about. If they were to do a
Exactly,
Titan
they
Primus.
the Titans are getting smaller, so that's the thing is in order to make it remotely sizable, they're gonna have to cut a lot of corners.
Just trying to think of what another Titan could be, but I can't think of one. They've
Yeah.
already run the well dry.
That's to a point where I almost feel like after
They might
a second
I was gonna say
Metroplex.
Metroplex, they're probably gonna ditch the price point.
Right,
Which I think
which
is
higher
a
the
little
price
Might
point.
be
disappointing.
why
But
they're bringing in the
Binders.
commander price point.
yeah,
Well, what
Which I've
commander do you
honest-
think they'll do for the third wave
they could
of
do title-
EarthRise?
there's tons.
Tower
they could
Master
do, there,
Optimus
there are
Prime.
tons. Yeah, but
We
that-
could do Thunder Clash. We could do Star Saber. Heck, we could do Tidal Wave. They've
They
shown
can
that-
never make Star Saber.
Oh, what if they did Titan Tidal Wave, bro?
I know. I would love a Titan tidal wave. I'd
That
much
would
rather
be
get a Titan
awesome.
tidal wave over a commander tidal wave. But I do think that a commander tidal wave would be more likely.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
Titan Tidal Wave would be amazing.
But you know what I'd also love?
What?
I mean, I kind of would hate it at the moment because we got a new figure of him already. But if they just made Titan class Astro Train, Commander class Astro Train, because in the comics he is scaled accurately to his alternate.
do a Cyberverse one.
Yeah, true. But like I'm just saying, the current comics are also doing it where Astro Train is.
Just give me
Does not-
a curveball
I do
and
like
give me a
Astro Train.
Titan transforming Megazord, man. Just throw me a curveball. Do a Transformers Power Rangers crossover and give me the Megazord.
If you want to throw a curveball and give something that no one would ever
Titan class
expect,
Death Star that turns into the Emperor's crusty old body.
No. If you want something that no one would expect or even want, Titan class
Supreme
Beast
Cheetor.
Machine Supreme class Cheetor.
We were on the same page. I knew it. That's
We
fantastic.
I think you were. I don't know. This was talked about on Twitter, but
that was
because
that
the-
was my idea. I was like, yeah, do Cheetor. I think it was my idea, unless I'm making that up. I'm
No,
pretty.
I think it was my idea.
Was it? I swear to God,
Pretty-
I thought I said it. I
You'd
think
have
I might have
to-
just been like it was worse or whatever. I don't know. But either way, yeah, we were both in that thread where we were talking about.
Oh yeah, no, because it was Ant. Ant said on his podcast about the next
Commander
No, it was
classes,
Commander. It was the next Commander, and then I talked. Because he asked about Stratosphere, and then I was like, who else could they make as a movie Commander? And then
Yeah,
you batted
you
off a
just-
bunch of
Mhm.
stuff, and I forget how it got to.
It was basically
then
like,
top-
what can we make that's ridiculous? And it was like Supreme Cheetor.
Supreme Cheetor,
No,
and then I
no,
was
no,
thinking
no.
also the Trirex from Animorphs.
No, see, they'll give us a Titan Chip Chase cosplay, and they just sell you a wheelchair.
Oh no.
Oh man, that one I hate that I thought of it. I feel like a terrible person, but at the same time, it was worth it for the joke.
Okay, but I feel like our EarthRise discussion is basically over. I think
That
we-
would be EarthRise. It is an Earth-based vehicle mode,
Oh God. All right. Moving
and that's the
on.
podcast, everyone.
That's false. We have like one more thing, I think.
What else do we have to discuss, Eric?
Hey Jared, are you ready to do your job?
Yes.
All right, do your job.
All right, for pre-orders, we have two things actually. One main thing, the other thing I just tossed in there because I thought it was funny. But the first thing is Studios sell Unicron.
It's
Which is-
$400.
I
Yeah.
kind of want it.
It's not even that big.
Yeah, but it's third party.
Yeah.
It's so short. At least the photos I saw, I thought were. Am I making this up?
It
Isn't it like just over a
is-
foot tall?
No, I think it's
No,
still
it's definitely
Titan
more than a
class?
foot.
Maybe.
I thought it was.
It's tinier than the HasLab, but it's definitely more than a foot tall.
Yeah.
I swear. Okay, hold on. I mean,
You
I know
looked
it's
at the
more.
pictures?
I thought it was like 15 inches tall. Maybe I'm making that up. I saw it next to a ruler. Someone try to find that.
This looks taller than a foot based on the pictures I'm seeing.
Holy crap!
Well,
that
and-
Rack and Ruin Siege Refractor.
But I mean,
Custom
look at
is
it like
amazing.
this. It's still more affordable than the HasLab one.
Yeah, but like for something that's like smaller than a Titan class figure, no, thank you. I don't care. Do not care.
Someone will get it.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
don't disagree. Someone will, but it's like I'm sorry if it's the Unicron, like my like my most important thing with Unicron is like it's got to be as big as possible, and you know I think that it looks honestly good, but it's just like there's no way this is nearly as
I
big.
think
And
this,
I understand
does
it's
this
more affordable.
use. I'm trying to figure this out. I can't tell if it's just the paint or if there's die-cast parts on this thing.
There's probably
there's
third
probably
party. There's probably diecast parts on it.
yeah, probably like little chunks in, like probably the panels in his legs are partially die-cast or something.
I will say though, the detail on it is really good. Like the detailing is amazing.
Yeah, Yeah, I
Like,
don't know where.
If I had an expendable income, like I'd probably buy that.
By what? Sorry, what were we talking about? I'm
If the Unicron, I said if I had an
this one,
expendable
the
income,
$400 one, yeah.
yeah, if I had an expendable income and could just throw $400 away like that, then I'd probably get it. But I don't have that, so.
To me, like I feel if either, well, this wouldn't this wouldn't be a thing.
It's shorter than Siege Omega Supreme. Significantly,
Oh,
like it's more than it's not even up to Siege Omega's head.
Oh, never mind that.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Whenever I was like, it's not that tall.
Well, now we know how much a Titan class figure would cost, made by a third-party company.
Basically, yeah. What? There's a picture of it riding a horse. It's.
I
riding
can't wait to see all the ridiculous pictures with Unicron, man. Have any of the HasLab things been shipped out?
The Jabba's sail barge.
Yeah, the sail barge.
It was? Alright.
Yeah, that shit
That's
down.
the only-
I couldn't remember, honestly.
Is that the only other? Is there another one? I mean, because
No.
Cookie Monster failed.
didn't happen. Yeah.
Cookie
There
Monster's
was no
number
other-
2, Unicron's number 3.
And they had to push Unicron back.
What?
Remember, they had to push it back?
Oh,
Yeah.
the not the
The
release date. The
deadline date.
Yeah.
No, the
crowdfunding
which in
thing.
turn probably pushed back the release date. But
no.
Maybe a little bit.
I don't think so because it didn't really affect when production started because they were still waiting.
Yeah,
I don't
fair.
know.
Yeah.
But anyways, the next pre-order is again something that I just thought was hilarious. It's 66 block model number .661 Optimus Mars, and this is a Lego Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime.
Oh, I didn't even.
Nice.
That's
It's-
very cool.
It's literally a Lego set that's Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime.
That's neat. Not my
It's only
thing, but neat.
$13 too.
That
Yeah,
I
no.
believe is just a deposit. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
it's just a deposit.
Yeah,
there's
just a
no
deposit.
there's no real full price. It stands 17 inches tall, which is
Oh.
or about 17 and a half, whatever. But oh, it does have die-cast parts too. From the
Die-cast
description.
Lego. That's something I could get behind.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like diecast Lego.
Looks pretty
Eric, don't
interesting.
lose the recording.
Yeah, I saw that. Our backup recording just
Yeeted.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, looks interesting.
Do you think you're gonna get
Most-
it? Would anyone buy this?
No.
Money right.
Probably not. If the
Fair.
price is
I do think it's
price
super
is a
cool.
good point. It's a good idea. It's kind of like it reminds me of the Creo type of
But this is clearly a little further
but-
along than that. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad you included that.
Give me a Select Creon line.
But yeah, so that's neat. But anyways, yeah, that's about it for this show. Thanks for listening. It was a bit of a longer one, but I think that we talked. Honestly, I think we had a really good conversation. I think we talked a lot about the brand.
This was
as
like
a
a
whole, so.
2-hour podcast.
Yeah, it was a very big picture podcast. I mean, we talked about some news at the beginning and stuff, but like, we certainly know what our main.
I love derailing these things.
Well,
Yeah.
our intention was to talk about EarthRise,
I know.
which I expected to go into a brand thing. I didn't expect it to go quite as far as it did, but I knew it was going to go into where the brand is and should go, etc. But yeah, anyways, if you want more, well, here, we'll plug podcast stuff first. So more of this. These if you couldn't tell from the format of this episode, we are kind of switching up how we're doing these, where it's more conversation based on a topic, and a little bit of news sprinkled in, rather than covering all the news weekly.
An actual
so-
podcast.
Yeah.
You should be awake.
Jesus
Jeez,
Christ!
Jesus.
What was
Whose
that?
microphone was
Who
that?
was
What
that?
was that?
I think that was
I think that was
Miguel.
Hello.
Oh my God!
Stop talking.
No, Miguel,
Yeah.
no. Miguel came back from the dead, but he sounds so much worse.
What happened?
Oh, your
Oh my
microphone.
God, Miguel!
Your
you
microphone
shook our
talking
ears.
through a
on your
tin
microphone
can.
is horrendous.
His laptop died. That's why we can't lose my recording because the backup recording is now gone apparently. But yeah, so for the like I said, we're switching up the format, but definitely check out wherever you listen to podcasts, including Podbean, Apple Podcast, Stitch, all the good stuff. I can't even remember all the stuff right now. Just Nerdy Geek Talk, look for that, and you should find our show. Also at Nerdy Geek Talk.
Is this better?
No,
It's
You
better
No.
than you were
deep
before.
fried.
It's still not good. But yeah, so Nerdy Geek Talk on Twitter. Also at Steel City Bots on both Instagram and Twitter. We should start trying to get more stuff on the Instagram again because we were doing pretty good for a bit, and then we weren't doing good on any of our stuff for a bit. So but yeah, no. So definitely follow us at both those places, especially the Twitter. There's good stuff every once in a while. Not a ton of stuff, but it's all good. And then personally, you can find me at Eric Crowbar on Twitter, at Aramis Prime on Instagram. I don't post as much. I post some Transformers stuff on Instagram. That's more me. But Transformers, go to Twitter. I do that lots. Miguel, where can people find you on the interwebs?
At Logos Miner on Twitter.
Oh. Ugh. That microphone. Stop talking.
Okay, I know his microphone's terrible, but Miguel, what have you been up to lately? I need to know. It's our thing. Oh, he's been okay. You know what? I got this. He's been talking either in the thread of why I'm wrong about how Transmetal Megatron isn't as good as the original Beast Wars or the Transmetal 2 Megatron designs. Again, talking character designs, not toys. And also the Supreme class Cheetor should be the next Commander class toy. Although that was actually a bit ago, but you get it. Michael, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at SoundJack426, as well as RDSJ Gaming, where I play video games with Alyssa, aka The Rational Dove.
Nice. Aaron, where can people find you on
You
the interwebs?
can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Maroyasha. That's MAROYASHA. Or you can find me on Twitch a lot of these days since I'm stuck at home and there's nothing else to do. Streaming, I'm doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke right now at twitch.tv/Mayoyasha. MAYOYASHA. I had played the Transformers RPG that was on PS2 when I started streaming, but that got to be mind-numbing, and I was like, this makes me want to put my head through a wall. So I decided to change up games.
Fair.
Because that game is terrible. And I mean terrible.
Zeus, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Zeus. Right now I have a sales thread up on my Twitter, but I'm also moving a lot of that stuff over to eBay, and a couple things have already sold. So get in on it while you still can.
And you've been posting more Lego stuff recently, haven't you?
I have.
You've always been into Lego, I know, but you've been posting more stuff recently.
I've been getting really into, because I started watching the Clone Wars again with my dad. So I've started getting really into like the Lego clones. Like the ones that AB Figures does, where you get like the cutout sheeted decals and you make them yourself. Because that's been something that's been a lot of fun to do while I'm stuck at home.
I've definitely liked seeing you do those because they're very cool.
Yeah.
And I would just like to give a little shout out. If you haven't, you should definitely go watch the new season of Clone Wars. It is some of the best animation ever.
It's so good.
Honestly, it is
yeah.
gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Bad Batch arc too. That was so good.
The Bad Batch arc was so good. The Ahsoka episode I don't necessarily care for as much as the whatchamacallit, the Bad Batch arc, but that's a personal thing. And also, it's still absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Yeah, the animation is so good.
I cannot believe it's probably my favorite animation just ever. Like, I'm in love with it because it's everything I like about Clone Wars, but done
solid. but
What?
it's gonna. I figure that the Ahsoka arc is gonna be fairly solid, but it's still gonna be what we all kind of have to sit through until they get to the Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Is it's just like Bad Batch is super exciting. Ahsoka's arc is just kind of like it's here, until we get to Siege of Mandalore. What?
Yeah.
I kind of wish they had done Utapau instead.
I totally wish they had done Utapau instead, but it's okay. It's okay.
Is that how
It's
you
still-
pronounce that
That's
planet?
Yeah. Anyways, Miguel. I mean, not Jesus Christ, not Miguel. Jared, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at DreadPrime. That's where I'm at. Basically, all the time. Recently, I've been posting pictures of what I've been doing with with EarthRise Prime's trailer, completely painting it up.
I was gonna ask if you posted those. I know you've been Snapchatting me that, like, in the group, but like, I didn't know if you'd actually posted it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Nice.
For those who haven't seen them, I turned EarthRise Prime's trailer from a unpainted gray plastic blob into a nice silver painted trailer, and I put some gunmetal gray with a black wash on the interior of the trailer, along with painted up the little blue bot thingy that's inside the trailer, whose name I forget.
Well, I mean, you painted it like Roller, but it's not Roller. It's the repair drone.
Yeah, I painted it to look like the G1 toy drone.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, in response to me saying that you should go watch Clone Wars, Miguel typed in her chat. He said, "Make me Purple Man." I will. Also, I'm fine with being called the Purple Man. Although I will say that apparently the way that people refer to me whenever they're talking about me to my friends, like whenever it's people that don't know me, is very commonly the boy with the pink pants or the pink scrubs. That is just who I am apparently, which I'm okay with. But yeah, so thanks for listening, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Don't forget to moisturize.
Or watch Clone Wars.